Chapter 4440. Duan Lingtian did not expect Sichu Lei, the inherited heaven sword, to invite him to a meeting. After all, Sichu Lei was a supreme expert. Moreover, he was not an ordinary supreme expert. In the Heavenly Sand Territory, he was as famous as the Heavenly Sand Territories, Heavenly Sand Territories, Heavenly Sand Territories, Heavenly Sand Territories, Heavenly Sand Territory. Even if he had the chance to meet Sichu Lei, it would be under the recommendation of the Wang clan. If Sichu Lei wanted to meet him personally, he would have to know about his current strength and innate talent. Did the Wang clan tell him that I possess strength close to that of an invincible higher ultimate god even though I'm not even 10,000 years old? Duan Lingtian could only think of this at this moment. If that's really the case, the Wang clan really doesn't hide anything from him. Based on the situation at the wedding, most of the guests did not know about his strength. Most of them were curious about him as the Wang clan's son-in-law. Due to this reason, he knew the Wang clan did not reveal his background. He had noticed earlier that most of the people in the Wang clan did not know about his background. Therefore, he guessed the Wang clan would not announce this to the public. Under such circumstances, the inherited heaven sword, Sichu Lei, could make the Wang clan take the initiative to mention his strength. It could be said that the Wang clan really did not hide anything from him. Brother Li Feng. Wang Kuei, the clan leader of the Wang clan, said solemnly when he saw Duan Lingtian's doubtful expression, Senior Sichu is not an ordinary ally of the Wang clan. This time, it was the Supreme Elder who mentioned Brother Li Feng's strength and talent to Senior Sichu. That's why he wanted to see a monstrous talent like you. Most importantly, the Supreme Elder mentioned Brother Li Feng's attainment in the Sword Dao. Senior Sichu said that if the Supreme Elder did not exaggerate, your attainment in the Sword Dao is definitely above his. When Wang Kuei said this, he looked at Duan Lingtian again with a hint of shock in the depths of his eyes. He hadn't comprehended any of the 4 Daos of heaven and earth, so he didn't know much about them. Previously, he had only heard their Wang clan's Grand Elder, Wang Jingrao, say that the young man before him was extremely accomplished in the way of the sword. However, he did not have any idea about this. Yet now, a supreme expert who stood at the peak of the Sky Sand realm had said that the young man's attainments in the Sword Dao were above his. How could he not be shocked? Since Duan Lingtian had already expected this, he was not surprised by Wang Kuei's words. He guessed that the Wang clan had sold him to Sichu Lei. The only thing he hadn't expected was that the Wang clan had also mentioned the Sword Dao that he had mastered. Presumably, the main reason Sichu Lei wanted to see him was because of the Sword Dao that he had mastered. In terms of strength, I'm far inferior to him. But in terms of attainments in the Sword Dao, he's probably inferior to me. However, even if they walk on different paths of Sword Dao, if they can learn from each other, they can still obtain a certain level of comprehension. That Sichu Lei must have thought of this point. Duan Lingtian had also guessed Sichu Lei's thoughts at this time. It could be said that Sichu Lei wanted to see him. Thinking of this, Duan Lingtian's heart settled. It was not impossible for him to share his comprehension of the Sword Dao for the other party to learn from. As long as the other party gave enough benefits, it was not impossible. Moreover, Duan Lingtian also believed that as long as he entertained Sichu Lei well this time, the Wang clan would completely treat him as one of their own and would no longer treat him as an outsider. Now, the reason why the Wang clan still had its former glory could be said to be completely relying on the inherited heaven sword, Sichu Lei, this big tree. For Sichu Lei, the Wang clan would definitely agree to all his requests. Usually, Sichu Lei did not have anything to ask of the Wang clan. After all, the current Wang clan was a clan that did not even have a supreme expert. Sichu Lei took care of the Wang clan because of the friendship of the supreme expert of the Wang clan. However, friendship would also fade. Especially after helping the Wang clan time and time again, every time he helped the Wang clan, he was returning the favor. Perhaps the supreme expert of the Wang clan in the past had done Sichu Lei a great favor, but no matter how great the favor was, there would come a time when it was over. Now that the Wang clan had the opportunity to do Sichu Lei a favor through Duan Lingtian, they were naturally happy to do so. Once Duan Lingtian really did this favor on behalf of the Wang clan, Duan Lingtian would naturally no longer be an outsider on the Wang clan side from then on. At the very least, The higher-ups of the Wang clan, such as the Wang clan leader Wang Kuei and the two supreme elders with the highest status in the Wang clan, would completely treat Duan Lingtian as one of their own. Brother Li Feng, I'll be frank with you. This time, the Wang clan hopes that you can discuss the sword Dao with Senior Sichu. With your greater attainments than Senior Sichu, you'll definitely be able to give him some inspiration. This time, as long as Senior Sichu is satisfied. You can ask for anything from the Wang clan. As long as it's within the Wang clan's power, we won't be stingy. Wang Kuei spoke very seriously and directly stated the Wang clan's desire this time without beating around the bush. What Wang Kuei said now was completely in line with what Duan Lingtian had guessed. You jest, clan leader. Duan Lingtian smiled faintly. I, Li Feng, am now the son-in-law of the Wang clan and can be considered half a member of the Wang clan. If the Wang clan needs something, I, Li Feng, will naturally not decline if it's within my power. I wonder, when will Senior Sichu have the time to see me? Duan Lingtian's words were also very simple and direct. Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words, Wang Kuei's eyes lit up, and in the next moment, his tone became much more excited. Brother Li Feng, Senior Sichu said that whenever you're free, he can come and see you directly. After Sichu Lei found out that Duan Lingtian's attainments in the sword Dao were above his, he did not feel that he was superior just because he was an ultimate expert. The one who reached the top was first. At least, in the sword Dao, the son-in-law of the Wang clan was ahead of him. Moreover, he also found out from the Wang clan that this son-in-law of the Wang clan, who was not even 10,000 years old, had such strength behind him. He must have an extraordinary background. Behind the other party's background, there might be an ultimate expert who was stronger than him. For such a person, even if Sichu Lei could do whatever he wanted in the Skysand realm, he would not dare to take advantage of his seniority. Senior Sichu is joking. Duan Lingtian smiled slightly. He's a senior, and I'm a junior. Naturally, I should be the one to see him. Clan leader, please take me to see Senior Sichu. Brother Li Feng, thank you. Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words, Wang Kuei secretly breathed a sigh of relief and could not help but feel grateful. From his perspective, and even the Wang clan's perspective, naturally, they did not want Sichu Lei to come and see Duan Lingtian. After all, Sichu Lei's status in the eyes of the Wang clan was extraordinary. Moreover, in terms of age and seniority, Sichu Lei was an elder. However, they could not ask too much of Li Feng. Therefore, they could only let Li Feng make the decision himself. Now that Li Feng was so tactful, he breathed a sigh of relief. At the same time, he also sent a message to the Wang clan's grand elder, Wang Jingrao, about Li Feng's attitude. The Wang clan owes Brother Li Feng this favor. After Senior Sichu leaves, bring Brother Li Feng to our Wang clan's treasury and let him choose whatever he wants. The Wang clan cannot be stingy in this regard. Of course, with Brother Li Feng's strength and talent, as well as his extraordinary background, even in our Wang clan's treasury, there might not be many things that Brother Li Feng will want. At this moment, Duan Lingtian was following Wang Kuei to find the inherited heaven sword, Sichu Lei. However, he did not know that the Wang clan's treasury had already opened its doors to him, allowing him to choose any treasure he wanted. Chapter 44-41. It was not like Duan Lingtian had never seen a supreme powerhouse before. Even before coming to the outer realm, he had seen the supreme experts in the realm battlefield of the god-defying realm, and had even come into contact with them. However, there seemed to be only one supreme powerhouse that he had met in the past. The feeling he got from him was not weaker than the inherited heaven sword, Sichu Lei. It was a very strange feeling. Sichu Lei had the demeanor of an immortal. He seemed ordinary, but he gave him a lot of pressure. Even the divine tree of life in his small world throbbed. He had not felt this way for a long time. Only when he was bathing in the god-defying world's realm battlefield in the god-defying world, did the owner of the mysterious voice give him such a feeling. Of course, the person who showed up at that time might not be the real body. If the person who showed up at that time was not the real body, does that mean that his strength might be above Sichu Lei's? At this moment, Duan Lingtian could not help but think. Thinking of this, Duan Lingtian could not help but secretly gasp. The inherited heaven sword, Sichu Lei, was already a top figure in the heavenly sand realm. How strong would the person be if he was stronger than him? Of course, Duan Lingtian also knew that although the inherited heaven sword, Sichu Lei, was a top figure in the heavenly sand realm, he did not represent the top combat power in the outer realm. This was because even the heavenly sand realm was only the border of the outer realm. It belonged to the outer realm, the most remote and backward place. This was also something that Duan Lingtian further understood after coming to the Wang family in Lanxiao City. Greetings, Senior Sichu. After all, it was not the first time that Duan Lingtian had faced a supreme powerhouse. He had even seen a battle between supreme powerhouses. At this moment, he seemed very casual in front of Sichu Lei. Compared to the Wang family head, Wang Kuei, he was completely opposite. At this moment, Wang Kuei respectfully greeted Sichu Lei in front of him. He held his breath and did not even dare to breathe. Seeing Duan Lingtian like this, a strange light flashed in the depths of Sichu Lei's eyes, and then he gave a friendly smile. Little friend Li Feng, there's no need to be so polite. In terms of cultivation, I'm superior to you because I'm much older than you. In terms of the sword Dao, I might not be inferior to you. As soon as he finished speaking, Sichu Lei continued without waiting for Duan Lingtian to speak. I presume little friend Li Feng already knows the purpose of my invitation this time. I'm a straightforward person who likes to be straightforward and doesn't like to beat around the bush. The reason I'm looking for you, young friend Li Feng, is because I hope to discuss sword Dao with you, young friend Li Feng. As long as I benefit from the discussion, I will definitely not mistreat my young friend Li Feng, Sichu Lei simply said. Duan Lingtian was also shocked by Sichu Lei's straightforwardness. He thought that Sichu Lei just wanted him to demonstrate his swordsmanship through the Wang family, but now it seemed that Sichu Lei was also very sincere. This also made Duan Lingtian have a good impression of Sichu Lei. No matter what, Sichu Lei was still a high and mighty expert, and the current him was not even an invincible upper-level ultimate god. Senior Sichu, you must be joking. Duan Lingtian smiled slightly. Now that I've married the daughter of the Wang family, I'm considered half a member of the Wang family. Senior, you've taken great care of the Wang family all these years. Now that I'm the son-in-law of the Wang family, it's only right for me to do something for you. I dare not ask for anything in return. As soon as Duan Lingtian said this, Wang Kuei's gaze toward Duan Lingtian became even friendlier. Sichu Lei was stunned for a moment before he laughed. Good, good, good. The Wang family has really found a good son-in-law this time. Senior Sichu, I'll take my leave first. After greeting Sichu Lei, Wang Kuei looked at Duan Lingtian again and said with a smile, Brother Li Feng, please take good care of Senior Sichu on behalf of the Wang family. Now, no matter how he looked at the young man in front of him, he was pleasing to the eye. Their Wang family had really found a good son-in-law this time. Compared to him, Meng Yuzheng of the Meng family in Kanglan City was simply mud. Don't worry, family head. Duan Lingtian nodded. I won't hide anything from Senior Sichu. As for Duan Lingtian, he really didn't intend to keep it to himself. In his opinion, Sichu Lei was a supreme expert, and he had a good relationship with him. For him, there were only benefits and no disadvantages. Even if Sichu Lei found out the purpose of his visit to the Wang family in the future, he might not do anything to him and might even remember his favor. And with his favor, when the Wang family found out the truth in the future, they might not hold a grudge against him. He still had a good impression of some people in the Wang family. If he could save Wang Luoyu without falling out with the Wang family, he did not want to fall out with the Wang family. Of course, his original plan would not change. Although he felt that even if he told the Wang family the truth now, the Wang family would not do anything to him, he still did not intend to take the risk. What if? Among the people in power in the Wang family, he had only seen the supreme elder Wang Jing'ereo and the family head Wang Kuei. There was still one supreme elder that he had not seen yet. Wonderful. Amazing. Young friend Li Feng, your sword Dao is simply superb. I thought that even if my sword Dao is not as good as yours, the gap is not big. Now it seems that I am a frog in a well. If I can master the sword Dao at your level, I am confident that I can suppress all the powerful experts in Heavenly Sand Realm. Seeing Duan Lingtian show the profundity of sword Dao without holding back, the inherited heaven sword Situ Lei's eyes shone brighter and brighter. In the end, he also gestured. Another profundity of sword Dao appeared in Duan Lingtian's divine artifact. At this moment, Situ Lei had entered the space in Duan Lingtian's spatial divine artifact. It was risky for an ordinary person to rashly enter someone else's spatial divine artifact. However, as a supreme expert, if Situ Lei really unleashed his full power, he could easily destroy the space in Duan Lingtian's spatial divine artifact and escape. In front of Situ Lei, Duan Lingtian did his best to show the profundity of sword Dao. He showed the profundity of space sword Dao without holding back, causing Situ Lei to be mesmerized. During this process, Duan Lingtian also looked at Situ Lei's sword Dao. It was not difficult for him to find some flaws in it. If Situ Lei wanted to observe Duan Lingtian's sword Dao, it would be difficult for him to fix these flaws. However, under Duan Lingtian's guidance, although he could not make up for many flaws, he knew the root cause of the next time. As long as Situ Lei was given time, he could completely eliminate those flaws. And this also made Situ Lei grateful to Duan Lingtian. After getting along for a period of time, Duan Lingtian also understood this supreme expert better. In front of him, the other party was completely on the same level as him and never put on the slightest airs. Even when asking for his guidance, he was as obedient as a student. Of course, after getting along with the other party for a period of time, Duan Lingtian was not without gains. Although the other party's sword Dao was not enough to feed back Duan Lingtian, the other party still gave Duan Lingtian a lot of pointers on the laws of space and the laws of time. Although the other party was not good at these two laws, after all, he had lived for a long time. Many opponents and friends were good at the laws of space and the laws of time, so he could also guide Duan Lingtian in this regard. The two of them guided each other and stayed together for a full 3 years before leaving the spatial artifact. Duan Lingtian's original plan to leave the Wang family in a few days was delayed for a full 3 years. On the other side, Wang Luoyu was also patiently waiting. While waiting, her days were also much better than before. It could even be said that it was a world of difference. Every few days, a large amount of cultivation resources that even the direct descendants of the Wang clan would be jealous of would be delivered to her for her to enjoy. She was like the most honorable princess of the Wang family, shining brightly. Some people said that the grandson of the Wang family's patriarch, Wang Kuei, was publicly slapped by Wang Kuei because he accidentally said something about Wang Luoyu's deceased brother, Wang Yuan. At that moment, everyone in the Wang family knew that Wang Luoyu had flown to the top and become the Wang family's golden phoenix. At the same time, more and more people were curious about the background of Wang Luoyu's husband, the young man named Li Feng. What kind of background did he have to be able to allow Wang Luoyu's status in the Wang family to skyrocket? Miss Yu, everyone in the Wang family is saying that you have a good reputation for marrying a person of such high status like young Master Li Feng. The servant girl who helped Wang Luoyu with her makeup said to Wang Luoyu. When Wang Luoyu heard this, she could not help but feel a little dazed. Then, a bitter smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. She was not good enough for that elder brother Duan. It's been 3 years. Elder brother Duan should be coming back soon, right? Wang Luoyu thought to herself. Chapter 44-42. 3 years was enough for Wang Luoyu to come up with many new ideas. 3 years ago, the first thing she wanted to do was follow her elder brother Duan's dying wish and leave the Wang clan with her elder brother Duan. From then on, she would no longer be a marriage tool for the Wang clan. Now that she had been in the Wang clan for 3 years, she had been treated extremely well by the Wang clan. Even the clan leader of the Wang clan, Wang Kuei, was extremely courteous when he saw her. She was even fortunate enough to meet one of the Wang clan's supreme elders. The supreme elders even told her that she could look for him directly if she needed help. The change in the Wang clan's attitude towards her was like heaven and earth. Now, she was like a high and mighty princess in the Wang clan. She was sought after by everyone. No matter where she went, she was like the moon surrounded by stars. It should be known that even when her elder brother Wang Yuan was still alive, she had never received such treatment. Of course. Wang Luoyu knew very well that the reason she was able to receive such treatment was all because of her elder brother Duan. Of course, in the eyes of the Wang clan, he was not Duan Lingtian, but Li Feng. Recently, she had thought more than once about how great it would be if her elder brother Duan was not Duan Lingtian but Li Feng, her husband. Moreover, under the influence of the people around her, and when she thought about how considerate and responsible her elder brother Duan was, she had unknowingly developed a favorable impression of him. Perhaps, even if she was asked to marry him now, she would not reject it. Big brother Duan is really outstanding. It's no wonder that even a woman like Big Sister Rose who has high standards would favor him so much. Wang Luoyu sighed inwardly. She knew very well how high her good sister's standards were. In the entire Skysand territory, there was no young talent of the same generation that she liked. Of course, she also knew that such an outstanding man did not belong to her sister Rose, and it was impossible for him to belong to her. I can't believe. 3 years have passed in the blink of an eye. 3 years was not a long time for Duan Lingtian, and it passed in the blink of an eye. Moreover, he had spent the past 3 years with Sichu Lei, the inherited heaven sword. While he demonstrated the sword Dao to Sichu Lei also tried his best to help him comprehend the law of time and the law of space. Although Sichu Lei was not proficient in these two laws, he had lived for a long time and was very knowledgeable. Moreover, he had many floating mirror image that he had fought with people who were proficient in these two laws. Among those scryer images, there were even scryer images of invincible high-level ultimate gods fighting, not to mention the scryer image of an invincible upper-level supreme god who was proficient in the law of time and the law of space. Even the scryer image of an invincible upper-level supreme god who was proficient in other ordinary laws was extremely precious in the outer realm or even the myriad world. More than 90% of invincible higher-level supreme gods were existences who had comprehended and mastered the laws of nature to the realm of perfection. Such an existence could be said to have walked to the end of the law he was proficient in and comprehended to the pinnacle. The laws displayed in the scryer recordings of such existences could be said to be flawless. One could imagine how precious it was. And Duan Lingtian had obtained such a scryer image from Sichu Lei. It should be known that this kind of scryer image, because of its preciousness, was often recorded with restrictions on it, and there was no way to forcibly copy it. And Sichu Lei had given this scryer image to Duan Lingtian. To the current Duan Lingtian, the value of this scryer image was actually not inferior to the godhead of an ultimate god in the law of space. In fact, it might even be of greater help to him. Therefore, even though Sichu Lei's attainments in the sword Dao had not been small in the past 3 years, Duan Lingtian still felt that he had gained a great advantage. Perhaps, the improvement he had obtained in the law of space was not as good as Sichu Lei's gains in the sword Dao, but that might not be the case in the future. Little friend Li Feng, after parting today, I don't know when we'll meet again. There should be some things in this storage ring that you can use. Even if you can't use them, it shouldn't be difficult to exchange them for something you can use. Before parting, Sichu Lei handed Duan Lingtian a storage ring. In these 3 years, thanks to little friend Li Feng's magnanimity, my progress in the sword Dao has been rapid. Perhaps, it won't be long before there will be no one who can match me in the heavenly sands realm. As he spoke, Sichu Lei's eyes were filled with yearning. Currently, although he was considered one of the strongest ultimate gods in the heavenly sands realm, he was only one of the strongest ultimate gods. There were still a few people who could compete with him. And if his sword Dao improved further, there was hope for him to surpass those few people. And this was not the most important thing. The most important thing was that the increase in his strength also meant that it would be much easier for him to resist the next 10,000 years of heavenly tribulation. Resisting the 10,000 years of heavenly tribulation became easier, which also meant that he could live for a period of time. This was the most important thing. Because of this, he felt that he owed Duan Lingtian a great favor. Even if he had given Duan Lingtian a scryer recording of a battle between two ultimate gods who had comprehended the laws of space to perfection, he still felt that it was far from enough. In his eyes, there was nothing more important than his own life. Whether it was that scryer recording or the storage ring in his hands, they were all just worldly possessions. Once he died, no matter how good his worldly possessions were, he would not be able to enjoy them. Senior Sichu, That scryer recording of yours is enough to repay my favor. Duan Lingtian did not take the storage ring that Situ Lei handed over. Even though he knew that there were definitely many things he needed in this storage ring, as he said, he felt that the scryer recording given by Situ Lei was enough to repay the favor of sharing his understanding of the sword Dao. At first, Situ Lei was still insisting, but when he saw Duan Lingtian's determination, he did not continue to force Duan Lingtian. However, at this time, there was a slight change in the way he looked at Duan Lingtian. Little friend Li Feng, it's fine if you don't accept this storage ring. However, I will give little friend Li Feng another thing. This thing, little friend Li Feng, you must accept it. This thing, to little friend Li Feng, may never be of use. However, once it is of use, to little friend Li Feng, it may be a life-saving item. As Situ Lei spoke, he had already raised his hand and took out an ordinary-looking jade piece. However, when a light flashed between his eyebrows, there was another drop of golden blood, surrounded by obscure golden translucent symbols, that shot out and merged into the jade piece in his hand. Suddenly, the golden light on the jade piece soared and disappeared after a while. At the same time, the jade piece returned to its original appearance. The only difference was that there was an additional mark of golden blood on the jade piece. At the same time, the jade piece no longer gave off an ordinary feeling. It emitted an extremely terrifying aura. This aura gave people the feeling that there was an ancient ferocious beast sealed within it. Once it erupted, it could break mountains and even destroy the heavens and earth. Supreme Powerhouse Spiritual Blood Essence. Just as Duan Lingtian was stunned by the scene in front of him, a cry of surprise rang in his ears. This voice belonged to one of the 5 divine elements in Duan Lingtian's little world, the world-cleansing divine water. Supreme Powerhouse Spiritual Blood Essence. Duan Lingtian was puzzled. This was the first time he had heard of this term. He knew what blood essence was, but what was this spiritual blood essence? Chapter 44-43. This was Duan Lingtian's first time hearing about the spiritual blood essence. For this reason, he had no idea what it was. However, when he heard the world-cleansing divine water's exclamation, he realized the spiritual blood essence was not an ordinary item. Of course, just by listening to the words of Situ Lei, the inherited heaven sword, it was enough to show that the essence blood was not an ordinary thing. After all, Situ Lei had said it could save his life at a critical moment. The spiritual blood essence is the blood essence of a supreme powerhouse. You know what a normal blood essence is. It's very precious to humans and other living beings. As for the spiritual colored blood essence, it is specially refined from the blood essence of an ultimate expert. Although the difficulty of refining it is not very high and it does not affect one's cultivation, it still requires a very long time. The world-cleansing divine water's voice rang in Duan Lingtian's ears again. It said that it takes a supreme powerhouse more than 10,000 years to refine a drop of spiritual blood essence. More than 10,000 years? Duan Lingtian was shocked when he heard the world-cleansing divine water's words. Although supreme powerhouses were powerful and lived for a long time, they could easily live for hundreds of thousands of years or even hundreds of thousands of years. However, even a supreme powerhouse who had lived for hundreds of thousands of years could only refine a few dozen drops of spiritual blood essence in his lifetime. However, Situ Lei, the heaven-cleansing divine sword, had given him a drop of spiritual blood essence. Sister Water, what's the use of this spiritual blood essence? Duan Lingtian could not help but ask. Earlier, Situ Lei, the heaven-cleansing divine sword, had clearly said the spiritual blood essence could save his life at a critical moment. Although Duan Lingtian was reluctant to accept it, he could not help but feel a little moved. At most, he would owe Situ Lei a favor and repay him in the future. Currently, Duan Lingtian might not have any use for him, but if he became an invincible higher godly venerable one day, Duan Lingtian might need his help. When the time came, he would return the favor. As Duan Lingtian waited expectantly, the world-cleansing divine water said, "You can summon the supreme powerhouse's spirit blood essence after you use your divine energy and the law of space to evaporate it. You can use the spirit blood essence as a portal for the supreme powerhouse. It can allow the supreme powerhouse to appear at the scene directly." Upon hearing the world-cleansing divine water's words, Duan Lingtian's eyes narrowed, and his breathing quickened. What does this mean? This meant that he could call out a powerhouse at any time. Moreover, he wasn't the weakest among the strongest. Of course, there are also restrictions. The world-cleansing divine water continued to say, if you accept his blood essence, you'll be able to summon him anywhere in the outer world. However, he won't be able to appear in the secret realms where supreme experts can't enter. In addition, there's no way to make him appear in any of the realms. Unless he's in the same realm as you. Upon hearing the world-cleansing divine water's words, Duan Lingtian could not help but ask, Sister Water, do you mean I can summon Senior Situ Lei to help me as long as it's not a place where supreme powerhouses can't enter? Yes. The world-cleansing divine water replied. Duan Lingtian, on the other hand, did not reject Situ Lei's gift of the inherited heaven sword after he found out what the soul-bearing blood essence meant. Senior. Duan Lingtian's expression was solemn as he said, the soul force blood essence you gave me is indeed a life-saving treasure. So, I won't refuse. However, if I don't need your help, I'll return it to you when I no longer need your help. And before that, if I use this spirit essence blood and ask for Senior's help, then I will owe Senior another favor. When he spoke up to this point, Duan Lingtian saw Situ Lei seemed to want to say something, so he spoke first. Senior, you can take this as a condition for me to accept your spiritualist blood essence. If you're not willing to do this, I really don't dare to accept your spirit blood essence. Duan Lingtian's persistence caused Situ Lei to not say anything more, but the gaze he looked at Duan Lingtian with was filled with even more praise. Little friend Li Feng, your innate talent is outstanding. After today's farewell, I believe your strength will definitely improve the next time we meet. However, I still advise you not to rush to become an ultimate powerhouse if you have the chance to become an invincible higher ultimate god. If you become an ultimate god, your strength will be improved by leaps and bounds. However, if you don't comprehend the law to the perfection realm before that, it'll be difficult to comprehend the law to the perfection realm after becoming an ultimate god. At least, in the history of the outer realm and even the myriad worlds, I've never heard of anyone who only comprehended the law to the perfection realm after stepping into the ultimate god realm. In the outer realm and the 10,000 worlds, as long as an ultimate master becomes an ultimate master, they'll be considered a world master. Even if they're not, they're close. Their strength is not comparable to an ordinary ultimate god. Even if it's me, I'm far from an ultimate god who becomes an ultimate god. Situ Lei paused for a moment before continuing. Of course, once you become an ultimate god, it'll be more difficult to become an ultimate god. This is also a publicly acknowledged fact. I don't know why it's difficult. After all, I'm not an invincible higher ultimate god before I become an ultimate god. However, since everyone says it's difficult, it should be very difficult. I've lived for more than 200,000 years. In these 200,000 years, I know many invincible higher ultimate gods who didn't become ultimate gods until they fell under the 1,000-year heavenly tribulation. As for those people, before they became unrivaled high-level supreme gods, they were all people who could have become extremely strong experts, but they didn't. If you don't become an invincible higher ultimate god, it's easy to become an ultimate god. However, once you become an invincible higher ultimate god, it'll be extremely difficult to become an ultimate god. In the 200,000 years I've lived, the number of people I know who successfully became an ultimate god from an invincible higher ultimate god can be counted on one hand. You should be able to understand what I'm saying, right? If it were an ordinary person, I'd definitely advise him to become an ultimate god directly so that he can live longer. Once he becomes an invincible higher ultimate god, he may not have the chance to become an ultimate god in the future. However, you're different. You've achieved this before you're even 10,000 years old. I think if you become an invincible higher ultimate god, it should be easier for you to become an ultimate god than most invincible higher ultimate gods. It had to be said that this was the first time Duan Lingtian had heard Situ Lei's words. Was it difficult for an invincible higher ultimate god to become an ultimate god? However, it was easy for these invincible higher ultimate gods to become ultimate gods before they became invincible higher ultimate gods. Perhaps, this is another reason why there are so few invincible higher ultimate gods. Not every higher ultimate god wants to become an invincible higher ultimate god. If they can become an ultimate god, they'll directly choose to become an ultimate god so that they can live longer. Once they become an invincible higher ultimate god but can't become an ultimate god, these people will definitely not live as long as the former. After all, before becoming an ultimate god, the heavenly tribulation comes once every 1,000 years. After becoming an ultimate god, the heavenly tribulation comes once every 10,000 years. It had to be said that after learning this from Situ Lei, Duan Lingtian's heart, which originally wanted to chase after an invincible higher ultimate god, was slightly shaken. With his attainments in sword principle, even if his power of law did not reach the perfection stage, after becoming an ultimate god and consolidating his strength might not be weaker than Situ Lei. He might even be stronger. Once he chased after an invincible higher ultimate god, he might not be able to become an ultimate god. However, once he became an ultimate god with the body of an invincible higher ultimate god, he could directly become a universe master. It was said that there were only a few dozen ultimate gods in the 10,000 worlds and the outer realm who were universe masters. This showed how difficult it was to become a universe master. Forget it. Senior Situ Lei is right. I'm not even 10,000 years old, and I already have such strength. If I really become an invincible higher ultimate god, I might have a chance to become an ultimate god. For me, the most important thing now is to save Kerr. Being an invincible higher ultimate god is more than enough to save Kerr. As long as he became an invincible higher ultimate god, he could choose to serve under a universe master. This way, he could ask a universe master to help his wife, Kerr, get rid of the soul shackles that Yun Qingyang had placed on her. If he directly became an ultimate god, he might not be able to get rid of the soul shackles that Yun Qingyang had placed on Kerr. He might not even be able to ask a universe master to help him. In the eyes of a universe master, an ordinary ultimate god was not worth as much as an invincible higher ultimate god. This was because they could do what an ordinary ultimate god could do, but they might not be able to do what an invincible higher ultimate god could do. As he thought of this, Duan Lingtian hesitated for a while before looking at Situ Lei and asking, "Senior, do you know about the Ghost Clan?" "Ghost Clan?" Situ Lei was stunned for a moment before he nodded. "I've heard of this clan. It seems to be a clan from one of the realms in the myriad worlds. This clan specializes in the soul shackles way." Based on Situ Lei's reaction, it was obvious that his understanding of the Ghost Clan was based on hearsay. "Senior, it's said that there are ultimate gods in the Ghost Clan as well. Generally, soul shackles that are placed by the Ghost Clan can be easily removed by someone with a higher cultivation base. If it's a soul shackles placed by an ultimate god in the Ghost Clan, ordinary ultimate gods won't be able to remove it. However, if it's a universe master, will they be able to remove it?" After he finished asking, Duan Lingtian looked at Situ Lei with a gaze that was filled with anticipation. He urgently needed to know this. Chapter 44-44. Normally, it should be possible. After listening to Duan Lingtian's words, Situ Lei pondered for a moment before he said loudly, "Although universe venerables are also called supreme powerhouses like us, the strength of a universe venerables is a qualitative transformation compared to other supreme powerhouses. The power of a universe master is quite different from that of an ordinary ultimate master." "That's right. In terms of the level of the soul, it should also be quite different." The reason why Situ Lei said probably was because he had never come into contact with a universe master before. His understanding of universe masters was based on hearsay. "Of course, these are all my speculations. After all, I am not capable of coming into contact with a universe master yet." Speaking of this, Situ Lei looked at Duan Lingtian again and said, "However, I speculate that if a universe master were to break the soul imprisonment of an ordinary supremacy from the Nightmare Soul Clan, it should not be a problem. Moreover, even if an ordinary universe master is unable to break the soul imprisonment, a universe master who is skilled in the way of the soul should be able to do it." If what Situ Lei said was true, Duan Lingtian only felt a little hope. However, the last sentence made Duan Lingtian's eyes light up. A universe master who was skilled in the way of the soul. That was right. A universe master might not be able to save Kerr, but a universe master who was skilled in the way of the soul would definitely be able to do it. My friend Li Feng, why are you suddenly asking this? Has someone around you been imprisoned by the Nightmare Soul clan? Even the Supremes behind you can't break the soul imprisonment. Sichu Lei asked doubtfully. At this moment, he could also see Duan Lingtian's excitement. Yes. Duan Lingtian nodded. Then, he thought of the ancestor of the Xia clan in the world of divine remains who couldn't do anything about Ker's soul imprisonment. He let out a long sigh and said, ordinary experts can't do anything. Sichu Lei was not surprised by Duan Lingtian's words. After all, it was impossible for an ordinary supreme powerhouse to break free from the soul shackles cast by a supreme powerhouse from the Spectre clan. Of course, at this moment, Sichu Lei also confirmed one thing, that was, there was no universe master behind the young man named Li Feng. He couldn't help but feel a little shocked by this. This was because when he first found out that the other party had such achievements before the age of 10,000, he subconsciously guessed that there should be a universe master behind the other party. In his opinion, only a universe master could possibly cultivate such a monstrous genius in such a short period of time. Now, when he realized that there was no universe master behind the person in front of him, he couldn't help but feel inexplicably shocked. Without the help of a universe master, one could imagine how difficult it was to get to this point. This little friend Li Feng, as long as he can grow up smoothly in the future, he will definitely be a famous figure in the outer realm and even the 10,000 world. Sichu Lei thought to himself. After asking Sichu Lei about the Nightmare Soul clan, Duan Lingtian didn't chat with him anymore. After bidding farewell to Sichu Lei, he flew toward the residence that the Wang clan had arranged for him. Wang Luoyu was still there. Sichu Lei was also preparing to leave the Wang clan. Before they parted, he said that he would go and say goodbye to the Wang clan leader before leaving. He also asked Duan Lingtian to let the Wang clan leader, Wang Kuei, look for him if he needed anything in the future. As long as it was within his power, he would not refuse. Obviously, in these 3 years, Sichu Lei had benefited a lot from Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian was extremely clear in his heart that after this parting, it would probably be difficult for him to meet Sichu Lei again in the future. Even if there really was a chance, it would most likely be when he used up the spirit accumulation blood essence that Sichu Lei gave him. Once he used up the spiritual blood essence, he would owe Sichu Lei a big favor and would probably take the initiative to look for him in the future. Elder brother Duan. Wang Luoyu had waited 3 whole years for Duan Lingtian to return. Sorry to keep you waiting. Duan Lingtian smiled. Get ready. We will leave tomorrow. Duan Lingtian did not intend to stay in the Wang clan for long. The sooner he sent Wang Luoyu away, the sooner he would fulfill his promise to Wang Yuan. Elder brother Duan. At this moment, Wang Luoyu was somewhat hesitant to speak. Only after a while did she muster up the courage to say, with your current status in the Wang family, even if you leave alone, the Wang family will definitely not allow me to remarry. Duan Lingtian was stunned when he heard Wang Luoyu's words. Then, he thought about it and understood. In these 3 years, he had contributed to the Wang clan and further strengthened the relationship between the Wang clan and the inherited heaven sword, Sichu Lei. Under such circumstances, how could the Wang clan treat Wang Luoyu unfairly? After all, in the eyes of the Wang clan, Wang Luoyu was Li Feng's wife. That's right. Duan Lingtian nodded. If he was not sure if the Wang clan's attitude toward Wang Luoyu would change after he left. Now, he was certain that the Wang clan's attitude toward Wang Luoyu would not change because of his departure. Firstly, the Wang clan was indebted to him for sharing Sword Dao with Sichu Lei. Secondly, the Wang family would also consider his potential and the powerful forces outside the heavenly sand realm that might be behind him. Therefore, even if he left the Wang clan for thousands of years, the Wang clan would definitely not treat Wang Luoyu unfairly. Have you thought it through? Duan Lingtian asked Wang Luoyu again. Yes. Wang Luoyu nodded. The Wang clan is where I grew up. I've never been to any place other than Lanxiao City. If I can stay, I don't want to leave. Elder brother Duan, my brother Wang Yuan asked you to take me away because he didn't want my fate to be manipulated by the Wang clan. Now, because of you, the Wang clan can no longer manipulate my fate. At the very least, I don't have to worry about the Wang clan manipulating me before I die in the heavenly tribulation. So, even if you don't take me away, you've fulfilled your promise to my brother. All of this is my own choice. After Wang Luoyu finished speaking, Duan Lingtian pondered for a moment before he spoke again. There's a problem that you have to consider. If you continue to stay in the Wang clan, it'll be difficult for you to find another marriage in the future. If you take the initiative to seek one, I'm afraid the Wang clan won't allow it. Hearing Duan Lingtian's words, Wang Luoyu smiled sweetly. Elder brother Duan, I don't plan to seek any marriage in this life. It's quite good to be alone. Duan Lingtian sighed when he heard this. Think about it again. I'll give you 3 days. After 3 days, either you leave with me, or I leave on my own. I think your brother Wang Yuan definitely wants you to find your own happiness in the future. If you can't stay in the Wang clan, you'll regain the right to pursue your own happiness after leaving the Wang clan. If Wang Luoyu stayed in the Wang clan, she would definitely be branded as Li Feng's wife. The Wang clan would not allow outsiders to taint the wife of their son-in-law, Li Feng. To them, the powerful background behind Li Feng might be somewhat illusory. However, the relationship between Li Feng and the inherited Heaven Sword, Situ Lei, was very real. No one can understand Situ Lei's gratitude better than the Wang family. Seeing Duan Lingtian turn and leave, leaving her alone in the empty room, Wang Luoyu heaved a long sigh. Elder brother Duan, after meeting you, I realized that there's such a perfect young talent in the world. With you as a comparison, I'm afraid it'll be impossible for me to find someone I like in this life. If that's the case, I might as well spend the rest of my life alone. Of course, Duan Lingtian could not hear Wang Luoyu's words. 3 days later, Duan Lingtian left the Wang clan alone. At the entrance of the Wang clan's patriarch, Wang Kuei, the Wang clan's supreme elder, Wang Jingrao, and Wang Luoyu sent Duan Lingtian off. Clan leader, Grand Elder. I have urgent matters to attend to and need to leave for a while. Please take care of Luoyu. Even though he knew that Wang Kuei and Wang Jingrao would look for Wang Luoyu even if he did not say anything, Duan Lingtian still specifically instructed them. Don't worry, brother Li Feng. Wang Kuei laughed heartily. Later, I'll announce to the entire Wang clan and the outside world that I, Wang Kuei, recognize Luoyu as my sister, and Grand Elder will also recognize Luoyu as his goddaughter. From now on, she'll be the princess of the Wang clan. Wang Jingrao smiled and nodded. Don't worry. I promise you, as long as the Wang clan is not destroyed, Luoyu will not lose a single hair. Duan. Brother Feng. As for Wang Luoyu, she immediately changed her words. 2 streams of tears fell from her eyes, and her face was filled with reluctance. Although they were not husband and wife, she could not help but feel sad and reluctant when she thought about how she was treated in the Wang clan because of this person in front of her. I'll be back as soon as possible. Duan Lingtian smiled lightly before bidding farewell to Wang Kuei and Wang Jingrao. Then, he flew away with the wind, leaving the Wang clan and Lan Xiao City as well. The 3 members of the Wang clan only regained their senses after Duan Lingtian's figure disappeared from their sight. The moment Duan Lingtian left Lan Xiaocheng. In a corner of Lan Xiaocheng, a figure also rose into the air and followed from afar. Based on the current situation, there shouldn't be any strong people hiding around Li Feng to protect him in the dark. Unless it's a strong person hiding in the dark, which is why I can't discover him. Let's follow him and take a look. The person who followed Duan Lingtian from afar was completely covered in a loose black robe, and it was impossible to see his appearance and figure clearly. However, as his figure moved, it was as if a green saber light flashed. In the blink of an eye, his saber had traveled thousands of miles, sweeping across the land. Chapter 44-45. After all, Tan Xiuting is also a high-ranking god, and it is the kind of high-ranking **** that is close to the invincible high-ranking gods. Naturally, he knows that at their level of cultivation, many things have to be considered in the 1,000-year tribulation. Like this time, if he hadn't been instructed by anyone, he wanted to kill the person in front of him, and it would be impossible to let him go. If you are really open-minded, it's okay. If you are not so open-minded, in order not to trigger the risk of the 1,000-year-old calamity of the heart demon, you will inevitably choose to kill him to avoid future trouble. Fortunately, I was ordered to shoot. Thinking of this, while he was relieved, Tan Shoteng thought of Meng Yuzheng of the Meng family in Kanglan City, and couldn't help shaking his head again and again for a while. He knows that this one is going to be out of luck this time. Don't blame me if you blame it, blame you for hitting him with your idea. You have harmed me, and you have also harmed yourself. Fortunately, I got my life back, and you, I'm afraid that you will die without life. After murmured in his heart, Tan Shoteng was only lucky. Although in Tan Ziyuteng's magical spacecraft, Duan Lingtian still devoted himself to the practice, and didn't care what little actions Tan Shoteng would make. It's just because, now Tan Shoteng is Tan Shoteng who has signed a contract with him for the master and servant of the Sky Blood Oath. He can feel any dissatisfaction with him at the first moment. Extinct. Therefore, he doesn't have to worry about Tan Ziyuteng's disagreement. At least, before Tan Ziyuteng's 1,000-year tribulation, Tan Shoteng is unlikely to be alienated. At this time, Tan Shoteng had no problem with his loyalty, even the newly promoted Meng family, although it was Tan Shoteng who was temporarily chasing after others, he really wanted Tan Shoteng to choose. Tan Shoteng also had to choose him. Although the strongest are strong, they are not as restrictive as the Heavenly Sky Blood Oath Master and Servant contract. Kanglan City. Meng family. Since returning from Langxiaocheng last time, Meng Yuzheng has been depressed and brooding about all the things he had been in Langxiaocheng's Wang family in the past. That cheap son-in-law of the Wang family not only embarrassed him, but even embarrassed him in the presence of so many people in the Heavenly Sand realm. Moreover, even the strong ancestor of their Meng family, the ancestor of their line, also reprimanded him in public for the sake of each other. This made him who hated Li Feng into his bones, hatred even more hatred. It's been 3 years. Then Li Feng, is it possible that he hasn't left Wang's house or Lan Xiaocheng? In the past 3 years, Meng Yuzheng can't remember how many times he has stood in the sky above the Meng family mansion like he is now, looking in the direction of Lan Xiaocheng, and talking to himself. Of course, he knew that his guess was correct in all likelihood. If Li Feng leaves Lan Xiaocheng, there is a strong shelter around him, and there is no chance to start. Then Tan Shoteng will come back and tell me. Tan Shoteng did not come back, indicating that Li Feng did not leave Lan Xiaocheng. Meng Yuzheng secretly said. As usual, after talking to himself, Meng Yuzheng was ready to go back to his room to practice. Of course, in the past 3 years, although he hadn't stopped practicing, the effect was not very good. The young man named Li Feng appeared in his mind more than once inexplicably, as if constantly taunting him, saying that he was not as good as Li Feng, could not marry Wang Luoyu, and was despised by the Wang family, even though the strongest ancestor of the Meng family is not on his side. He felt that he had not waited for the arrival of the 1,000-year tribulation before he was born with a heart demon. He had restrained, but found it was useless at all. It was the first time he suffered such a loss since he was a child, and it was still such a shameful loss. In his eyes, Li Feng is no different from his father-killing enemy. Then if Li Feng doesn't die the next millennium catastrophe, I'm afraid I will be injured by the calamity of the heart demon. Meng Yuzheng secretly said. Originally, he would not have any pressure after the next millennium calamity, and he might not even have a slight injury. But now, he has no certainty to survive the heart devil calamity in that millennium calamity. Fortunately, the heart devil calamity he is facing now in the 1,000-year tribulation has not yet reached the point of life-threatening. If Li Feng does not die, I am afraid that it will not take 10,000 years. After a few thousand years, the heart demon calamity of the 1,000 years will be able to kill him. Master Meng Yuzheng. Just when Meng Yuzheng was about to fail back, he received a subpoena, and the person who passed it to him was the one he had been waiting for 3 years. Qingyang Sword King, Tan Shoteng. It was also the strong ancestor of their Meng family who followed them, and because of his ancestor, the other party would **** him all the way to Lanxiao City last time. If it is normal, without the ancestor's instructions, the other party would not even bother to pay attention to him. On this point, he is still very self-aware. It was this time that he let the opponent stay in Lan Xiaocheng and waited for the opportunity to kill that Li Feng, because he took out the fire law of the strongest godhead given by the ancestor. Otherwise, how could the other party offer him to drive him to kill? Uncle Tan. Meng Yuzheng responded with excitement to Tan Ziyuteng's call. You have killed that Li Feng? Master Meng Yuzheng, if you want to know, please wait for me thousands of miles south of the city. Tan Ziyuteng's call came to Meng Yuzheng's ears again, and he didn't know the result of this time. When I get there, I will give you the recorded floating shadow image, and you, the law of fire is strongest. The Godhead lent it to me. Although you made the blood oath in the sky, as long as I do what you require, I will definitely lend me the Godhead of the strongest. But in Lan Xiaocheng, I am worried that you will give me the Godhead of the strongest person. The nobleman will react and intervene to obstruct. At that time, the strongest person's Godhead may be taken back by the nobleman. Tan Xiuteng said. Hearing Tan Ziyuteng's concerns, Meng Yuzheng didn't doubt anything. Uncle Tan, I can understand your concerns. 1,000 miles to the south, I assent it. I will pass now. The current Meng Yuzheng desperately wants to obtain the floating mirror image of Tan Xiuteng killing Li Feng, because only in this way can he completely get rid of his heart demon. If it was only Tan Ziyuteng's dictation, even if the flower was spoken, he would feel credible, but he would have gaps because of the lack of conclusive evidence. He must personally see the mirror image of Li Feng being killed. This is not only for the purpose of eliminating the demons, but also for the pleasure of seeing the scene of Li Feng's fall. Li Feng, you can't beat me after all. Meng Yuzheng, who was planning to fail back, rose again from the sky, left Meng's house, left Kanglan City, and headed towards the south. His goal is the place agreed with Tan Xiuteng thousands of miles away. In his opinion, Wanli is not far away. At this distance, even if he doesn't bring people, there is no danger. Now, within a radius of hundreds of thousands of miles in Kanglan City, I am afraid that few people do not know him, Meng Yuzheng, the first person in the younger generation of the Meng family in Kanglan City. Those people, even if they are stronger than him, dare not provoke him. From beginning to end, Meng Yuzheng never thought that Tan Xiuteng would cheat him and harm him. After all, if Tan Xiuteng really wanted to harm him, he would leave Kanglan City with him in the past and head to Lanxiao City. There would be more opportunities, and there would be no need to wait until now. Even after the other party knew that he had the Godhead of the strongest in his hand, the other party was able to seize his opportunity to leave Lan Xiaocheng and return to Kanglan City. You know, at that time, he was not back to Kanglan City with their Meng family's strongest ancestor, but Kanglan City with people from other families in Kanglan City. Tan Xiuteng really wanted to be against him at that time and had a 100% chance to succeed. Because of this, Meng Yuzheng never doubted Tan Xiuteng from beginning to end. To the south of Kanglan City, thousands of miles away. Here is a vast rolling hills. The hills are bare, yellow sand is full of the sky, no green plants can be seen, as if this is an absolute forbidden area for plant life. And above the rolling hills, a figure was suspended in the void, sitting there cross-legged. Around his body, a faint cyan flame was beating, sometimes spreading out, sometimes condensing into a knife. This is a middle-aged man, sitting cross-legged in the void, closing his eyes and resting. The things outside his body, in addition to the accident of the ring in his hand, there is also a thick-looking token hanging from his waist. And if there is an artifact master who is good at refining tools here, you can definitely see that this token is a space artifact out of 10. If there is a strong person who is good at the law of space here, you can also sense the looming spatial fluctuations on this token. Master. This middle-aged man is no one else, but the high-ranking god, the Qingyang sword King Tan Xiuteng, who is well known in the Qiansha realm. At this moment, Tan Ziyuteng's voice was condensed and passed into the token. The divine consciousness that I spread has already sensed that Meng Yuzheng is coming. He came alone. He didn't doubt anything, let alone anything. If I really want to be disadvantageous to him, before he returned to Kanglan City 3 years ago, there were opportunities to be disadvantageous to him. Tan Xiuteng said, plus, in this area, he doesn't worry that someone will trouble him, and it will not be good for him. Therefore, 9 out of 10, he came alone. Also, I think he is in a hurry. Obviously he wants to get the floating shadow mirror of you that I made up for killing you, master soon. Tan Ziyuteng's voice passed into the token, passed into the space inside the token, which was the space artifact, and reached Duan Lingshan's ears. In fact, It would be more convenient for Duan Lingtian to hide into Tan Ziyuteng's small world. However, the small world in a person's body is open to those who are weaker than oneself. If it is open to those who are stronger than oneself, it is likely to be passive. Even Tan Shoteng will definitely have some worries and fears. Therefore, Duan Lingtian is not too difficult for him. Even if he really wants to hide in Tan Ziyuteng's small world, the other party cannot refuse. After all, there is a contract between the master and servant of the Sky Blood Oath. Just when Duan Lingtian faintly defeated Tan Shoteng. Outside, a pleasantly surprised voice came from a distance at the right time. Uncle Tan, after 3 years, you are finally back. The person here is Meng Yuzheng. Meng Yuzheng, who has been waiting for Tan Shoteng for 3 full years. Master Meng Yuzheng. And Tan Shoteng also opened his eyes after Meng Yuzheng's arrival, stood up, and showed apologetic expression at the same time. I'm so sorry to let you run so far. However, I am also really worried. Before Tan Shoteng finished speaking, he was interrupted by Meng Yuzheng. Uncle Tan, there is no need to explain, I can understand. Where did you kill the floating mirror image of Li Feng? Show me quickly. Chapter 44-46. Because he never thought that Tan Shoteng would harm him, he didn't care about Tan Ziyuteng's explanation at all, and he even felt that Tan Ziyuteng's worries were normal. If it was him, he would also have such concerns. Master Meng Yuzheng. Seeing Meng Yuzheng so desperate to get the floating shadow, the color of guilt on Tan Ziyuteng's face not only didn't disappear, but it became more intense, for the sake of safety. This transaction will be carried out in my space artifact. How? Of course, if you don't want to, we can go further. The method of the strongest is too strong. Although, Master Meng Yuzheng, you once made the blood oath in the sky, and you will not tell the master of this transaction, but... At this time, before Tan Shoteng finished speaking, Meng Yuzheng thought about what he said. Uncle Tan, I can understand your concerns. It is unnecessary to go farther. I will go directly into your space artifact. The strongest, how powerful, and how many methods are. Even Meng Yuzheng felt that even if his ancestor was already the strongest, he couldn't know how many methods the ancestor had. Therefore, he directly agreed to Tan Ziyuteng's request. As for going further, no need. He doesn't want to waste time. Now, what he wanted to see most was the floating mirror image of Li Feng being killed by Tan Shoteng. Only by witnessing Li Feng being killed can his demon gradually disappear. Li Feng, just you, are you worthy to fight with me? At this moment, Meng Yuzheng's heart was full of disdain for Duan Lingtian's pseudonym Li Feng. And Tan Shoteng, after receiving Meng Yuzheng's response, also quickly expressed gratitude and said, "Thank you, Master Meng Yuzheng, for understanding. Then, next, please ask Master Meng Yuzheng not to resist, and I will send Master Meng Yuzheng you into my space artifact. Bring it on." Meng Yuzheng looked expectant, even a little hastily, wishing to have entered his space artifact with Tan Shoteng now. But the next moment, I saw Tan Shoteng raise his hand, and suddenly a gentle force enveloped Meng Yuzheng, sending Meng Yuzheng, who had no resistance, into his space artifact. At the moment Meng Yuzheng was sent in, Tan Ziyuteng's eyes flashed, he glanced at the direction of Kanglan City from afar, and then fled away in the direction opposite to Kanglan City at the fastest speed. In the same place, the formation he had previously prepared was also activated, and various complex formations erupted, not only destroying the surrounding barren mountains, but also various power shock spaces, before stopping for a long time. Tan Shoteng did this to remove traces. Even if he can see that there is a problem here, he removes the traces like this. Even if the strongest comes, it is difficult to see or discover who has been here before and what happened. Descendants do not die, and it is difficult for the strongest to trace what happened to the descendants through the power of blood. Meng Yuzheng didn't know what happened outside. The current Meng Yuzheng was sent into Tan Ziyuteng's space artifact, a spacious space. There is no one in this space. As for this, Meng Yuzheng was not surprised, waiting for Tan Shoteng to follow in. He doesn't worry that Tan Shoteng will be disadvantageous to him, because it doesn't make sense. He could only give Tan Shoteng the godhead of the strongest, and other things were in his self-destruction and taking precepts. Even if Tan Shoteng killed him, he would not be able to get the self-destructing taking precepts. As for the godhead of the strongest, that is what Tan Shotung borrowed under the Sky Blood Oath. If Tan Shotung dares to kill him and swallow him, the Sky Blood Oath will not let him go. Cool. In Meng Yuzheng's expectation, Tan Shotung quickly entered the space artifact. Seeing Tan Shotung, Meng Yuzheng's eyes brightened. Uncle Tan, what about the projection? However, Tan Shotung ignored him, instead just looking at Meng Yuzheng's Naji. This means, it is also obvious, if you want to see the projection, first take out the godhead of the strongest. Uncle Tan, I made the blood oath in the sky, and it is impossible to go back. While shaking his head, Meng Yuzheng took out the supreme godhead from Najie that his ancestors gave him, the supreme godhead left by the strongest people who are good at the law of fire. In the past, his family's ancestors also relied on this Xeon's godhead and the law of fire to make a rapid progress, laying a very solid foundation for becoming the Xeon in the future. However, now, his ancestors do not use this super strong godhead, so temporarily put it here to help him understand the law of fire. Tan. And just when Meng Yuzheng wanted to pass the godhead of the strongest in his hand to Tan Shotung, the sudden change occurred. Call out. A crisp sword whistling sound was short-lived. Then, a ****** light rose. Tan Shotung held the hand of the strongest godhead, his entire arm left his body and fell downward. Who? While Meng Yuzheng's face changed drastically, he did not find the person with his hand, and immediately urged his divine power to roll toward the godhead of the strongest in his hand with the broken arm. As long as the divine power touches the godhead, he can take the godhead back into his ring within a single thought. However, although his speed is already fast, some people are faster than him. Whoosh! A divine power, the next step touched the godhead of the Xeon, and then the godhead of the Xeon disappeared, obviously by the master of the divine power, into his receiving ring. From beginning to end, Tan Shotung stood in the distance, motionless, without any divine power fluctuations, just silently watching everything in front of him. He did not participate. The godhead of the strongest is not seized by him. The Sky Blood Oath could not find him. Cool. When Meng Yuzheng's face was green and his eyes were splitting, he glanced at Tan Shotung, and then looked around for him. A figure also appeared in front of Tan Shotung like a ghost. Dressed in purple clothes, with a handsome face, he looked at Meng Yuzheng calmly. And when he saw this person, Meng Yuzheng's face changed drastically. Why you? Meng Yuzheng suddenly let out an exclamation. His face and eyes were full of incredible color, and he couldn't believe that he would see a living opponent here. At this moment, his brain even seemed to be stirred into a paste, with 10,000 why he wanted to ask. Why does Li Feng appear here? Why did Li Feng take away his godhead at this time? Didn't he let Tan Shotung kill Li Feng? Why is Li Feng lurking here and taking action at this time? After a period of confusion in his mind, Meng Yuzheng quickly calmed down, and stared at Tan Shotung behind Duan Lingtian with red eyes. Tan Shotung, you unexpectedly found this Li Feng to join forces and set the stage to take me the most powerful god. You don't think, if you do this, the Sky Blood Oath won't find you on your body, right? Speaking of later, Meng Yuzheng looked fierce, as if turning into a beast, wishing to eat Tan Shotung in one bite. End of this chapter. Chapter 44-47. The current Meng Yuzheng is a bit furious. Although, he doesn't think Tan Shotung can escape the punishment of the Sky Blood Oath. However, Li Feng is not restricted. Even if Tan Shotung is dead, Li Feng, who has obtained the godhead of the strong, can still continue to have the godhead of the strong, without any restriction, because he and Tan Shotung made each other's oath of blood in the sky. Irrelevant. Li Feng. In a hurry, Meng Yuzheng looked at Li Feng, and said with a gloomy expression, if you are conscious, quickly hand over the strongest person. In this way, I might be able to give you a happy one. Almost at the same time, Meng Yuzheng said to Tan Shotung again through a voice transmission, Tan Shotung, you will not escape the punishment of the Sky Blood Oath if you do this. You killed this Li Feng, and I will not blame you for you. Of course, if Tan Shotung killed Li Feng, he would still be punished by the Sky Blood Oath. He was beyond his control. In his opinion, as long as Li Feng died, even if the power of the strongest person was lost, it was worth it. His ancestor is now promoted to become the strongest, and it is definitely not a difficult task to get him a godhead of the law of fire, the strongest. Nowadays, even if Meng Yuzheng is unwilling to admit it, he still has to admit that the strongest godhood has entered Li Feng's acceptance, and it is difficult to return to his hands. Meng Yuzheng, do you think it was I who found the young master and asked him to help me pit the power of the strongest in your hands? Hearing Meng Yuzheng's voice transmission, Tan Shoting suddenly laughed, as if Meng Yuzheng's words were a big joke. Master! Hearing Tan Ziyuteng's address to Duan Lingtian, Meng Yuzheng's face changed slightly, and an ominous premonition rose in his heart. Meng Yuzheng. At this time, Duan Lingtian also spoke, looking at Meng Yuzheng with teasing expression. This is the most powerful god, but Tan Shoting asked me to help him get out of your hands. This thing is what I think. Yes, it has nothing to do with him. Or the whole thing, him leading the way, he is completely passive. In this case, it is impossible for him to fall on the punishment for the blood oath you made earlier. Duan Lingtian's mouth suddenly changed Meng Yuzheng's complexion, showing an incredible look, then gritted his teeth and said in a deep voice, Li Feng, do you think you say this, I will believe it? What strength do you have? Can you dominate the matter of taking my godhead as the strongest? Now, even though he said so, Meng Yuzheng already had an ominous premonition in his heart, and guessed that it was the mysterious forces behind Li Feng who had acted. Li Feng was rescued from Tan Ziyuteng's men, and then Li Feng threatened Tan Shoting came over to trouble him. Meng Yuzheng. Tan Shoting glanced at Meng Yuzheng indifferently. Whether you believe it or not, this is all true. I do as you wish. After the young master leaves Wang's house and Lan Xiaocheng, I will hunt him down. Hearing Tan Shoting said this, Meng Yuzheng couldn't help yelling, Tan Shoting, you are an idiot. Didn't you say that you will only attack him if you confirm that there is no strong protector around him? Now, Meng Yuzheng guessed that it must be when Tan Shoting took action against Li Feng. Li Feng had a stronger shelter around him than Tan Shoting. This was the only way for Tan Shoting to come home. And under Li Feng's intimidation, put him in the army. In his opinion, this is Tan Ziyuteng's idiot, stupid, and he will rashly attack Li Feng when he is not sure that Li Feng has strong protection by his side. Hey! Faced with Meng Yuzheng's yelling curse, Tan Shoting snorted, Meng Yuzheng, you were not born when Tan Shoting was in the Sand Realm. I, Tan Shoting, can live with this body of cultivation. Do you think it will be as stupid as you think? Naturally, I will attack the young master after confirming that there is no strong protector by his side. Speaking of this, Tan Shoting glanced at Duan Lingtian with respect, and said with complicated eyes, it's just that, I never expected that the strength of the young master has reached the point where it is close to the invincible high-ranking god. Less than long live, close to the existence of an invincible high-ranking god. Easily defeat me. If it were not for the mercy of the young master, I would not be alive now. Every word of Tan Shoting now fell into Meng Yuzheng's ears, making Meng Yuzheng's heart tremble. Less than long live, close to the invincible high-ranking deity. Tan Shoting. Meng Yuzheng stared at Tan Shoting with a face full of disbelief. Do you think, if you say these things, I will believe it? A person who is less than long live can have the strength close to the invincible high-ranking god. Not to mention looking at the Tianxia realm, it is looking at the entire outside world, or even the 10,000 realms. I have never heard of anyone who can have the strength close to the invincible high-ranking ***** at the age of less than long live. The current Meng Yuzheng, in fact, has some faith deep in his heart. Because Tan Shoting and Li Feng have obviously won, at this time, there is no need to deceive him. Even, this answer is consistent with the previous Lan Xiaocheng Wang family's attitude. If Li Feng is so enchanting, Lan Xiaocheng Wang's family chooses Li Feng instead of him, it can be explained. It's just that he doesn't want to admit that he is so much worse than a peer of the same age. At this moment, if Duan Lingtian knew Meng Yuzheng's thoughts, he would definitely be tempted to tell him. In fact, Duan Lingtian is now not only long live, but even less than 2,000 years old. It doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. Tan Shoting glanced at Meng Yuzheng lightly. Meng Yuzheng, offending the young master is the most stupid thing you have done in your life. For a woman, you ruined yourself. Tan Shoting, Li Feng, you better let me go. Otherwise, I will now sacrifice the jade slip of the deity that my ancestor gave me, and summon the ancestor out. Meng Yuzheng stared with a pair of eyes, his face threatening Duan Lingtian and Tan Shoting with a hideous face. When he heard this, Duan Lingtian just smiled faintly. And Tan Shoting laughed out loud again. Meng Yuzheng, not to mention that I have been with your Meng family a while ago. Just because I was not with him, you think I would never think that he was promoted. It didn't take long for the strongest to spend blood to make his own projection jade slip. The projected jade slip of the deity also needs to be made with the blood of the strongest. Although the price paid is far less than the essence of aura, it is not small. In the old days, when Duan Lingtian was still against the realm of God, in that face battlefield, he had seen several people, and even the projection of the strongest deity's jade slip summoned the projection of the strongest deity. There are more people, so he escaped in his hands. So, he also had many worries about the projection of the jade slip of the Xeon's deity. This time when he came to Kanglan City, he had also communicated with Tan Shoting about it. It is also because Tan Shoting said that the newly promoted strongest man in the Meng family of Kanglan City could not make the original projection jade slips now, and Meng Yuzheng could not have that thing in his hands, so he should relax. And hearing Tan Ziyuteng's words, Meng Yuzheng's last life-saving straw was also cut off, and his mentality completely collapsed. Despair spread in his heart, making him almost collapse. Do not. No. I don't want to die. Chapter 44-48. Tan Ziyuteng's words completely collapsed Meng Yuzheng's mentality. The Xeon, although he can consume his own essence and blood to make the projection jade slips of the deity, but the cost to himself is not small. A Xeon who has just been promoted is still busy consolidating his cultivation skills, and he also needs to rely on his own essence. Blood, there is no time at all, and it is impossible to spend blood to do that thing. The projected jade slips of the deity of the strongest, only those who are difficult to make progress and are bored at ordinary times will make it, and because they need to consume their own essence and blood, they will not make too much, they will only leave it to themselves. Some descendants or disciples of disciples. With Meng Yuzheng's position in the eyes of Meng Tianfeng, the newly promoted strongest of the Meng family in Kanglan City, if Meng Tianfeng produced his own projected jade slip, he would definitely be the first to give it to Meng Yuzheng. But the problem is, because Meng Tianfeng had just been promoted, it was impossible to make the original projection jade slip. Therefore, Tan Ziyuteng's words also made Meng Yuzheng's face white as paper, and he was terrified to the extreme. Puff. At the critical moment, Meng Yuzheng knelt down directly in front of Duan Lingtian, constantly kowtow, giving up all his dignity. Master Li Feng, you do not remember the villain, please spare my life. As long as Master Li Feng is willing to spare my life, I can give all the wealth in the ring to Master Li Feng. Meng Yuzheng is really scared now, panic to the extreme. Although, he also knew that as a descendant of the strongest, if he died, his ancestor of the strongest could be traced back to Li Feng's body and blood. But now it seems that there must be an extremely powerful force behind Li Feng, perhaps the force that his strong ancestor feared. After all, according to Tan Shoting, this Li Feng is an existence that is less than long-lived, close to the invincible high-ranking god. Spare you? Duan Lingtian glanced lightly at Meng Yuzheng. If you want me not to kill you, it's not impossible. Then it depends on whether there is something that interests me in you. Now, release the precept and confess to the Lord. Duan Lingtian had no reason to refuse the things delivered to the door, and he did not intend to kill Meng Yuzheng for the time being, only intending to imprison him. He also heard what Jingsha Shinshui said, rashly killing Meng Yuzheng might anger the strongest of the Meng family, and the opponent could trace back to him through blood. According to the words of Jingsha Shinshui, it is best not to kill this Meng Yuzheng personally. At least, it is not suitable to kill this Meng Yuzheng before he can't compete against the strongest of the Meng family. Master Li Feng. Hearing Duan Lingtian's words, Meng Yuzheng took a deep breath and said hesitantly, although, I don't believe you, Master Li Feng. But, can you make the heavenly blood oath? I promise that after taking my precepts, no kill me. Then you'd better take your nuns and die. Duan Lingtian raised his brows, and a sarcastic smile appeared at the corners of his mouth, I really thought. I really want something from you. After the words fell, Duan Lingtian flickered before disappearing in front of Meng Yuzheng's eyes. And Meng Yuzheng's expression changed drastically in an instant. He never expected that Li Feng was so decisive, and he didn't intend to ask for his things again if he didn't agree with him. In a hurry, Meng Yuzheng gritted his teeth and directly dismissed the confession of the ring, and at the same time threw it out from a distance. Master Li Feng, I have lifted the confession of the ring, and hope to spare my life. However, Meng Yuzheng did not wait for Duan Lingtian's response. I saw that Tan Shouting raised his hand and directly took Meng Yuzheng's Naji into his hands, and then left, oppressing Meng Yuzheng. And Meng Yuzheng, seeing Tan Ziyuteng's murderous aura, suddenly looked ugly and threatened. Tan Shouting, if Master Li Feng committed suicide with me, my ancestor of the Meng family might be a little bit jealous if he takes care of the forces behind him. But if you dare to kill me, the ancestor will never forgive you. For Li Feng, Meng Yuzheng felt fear from the bottom of his heart. But Tan Shouting, he knows everything, and he doesn't fear the opponent at all, even if the opponent is much stronger than him. Who said I was going to kill you? However, in the face of Meng Yuzheng's threat, Tan Shouting smiled faintly. I just follow the spirit of the young master, and I have completely destroyed you. When the voice fell, Tan Shouting shot out like lightning. As for Meng Yuzheng, he was captured by Tan Shouting at the same time as he was reacting. The terrifying divine power contained cyan flames, which engulfed him like bone gangrene. At the same time, he found that he could no longer control his body, as if he was completely oppressed by that force. Do not. When he noticed that Tan Ziyuteng's power was constantly expelling and crushing his power, Meng Yuzheng's eyes were splitting, and he let out a desperate cry. Tan Shouting, you asterisk 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 it. You asterisk 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 it. Damn you. The celestial pulse in the body was broken and the divine power was lost, so that when Meng Yuzheng was desperate, he was so angry that he passed out and fainted to the ground. Even the vitality has become a lot weaker. Don't kill him yet. At the same time, Duan Lingtian appeared in front of Tan Shouting again, and glanced at Meng Yuzheng who had passed out on the ground. If he died, then Meng Tianfeng of the Meng family would be a big trouble. Master, he won't die. Tan Shouting respectfully said, this Meng Yuzheng, although I got along with him not long ago, I can still see that he is a person who is extremely greedy for life and fear of death. Not to mention that he is only a cultivator and abolished, it is his cultivation. He will not want to die if his limbs are broken at the same time he is abolished. Although getting along with Meng Yuzheng not long ago, it is obvious that Tan Ziyuteng's understanding of Meng Yuzheng is not so deep. Duan Lingtian nodded, this is the best. Find a chance later and let him fend for himself. After the voice fell, Duan Lingtian said again, next, we will continue on our way to Liangu realm. Yes, master. Tan Shouting responded respectfully. On the way to Kanglan City, he learned from his young master that the destination of his young master's trip was the Lonely Realm. To be precise, even the Lonely Realm was just a place for his own young master. The land of the way. The young master of my own family intends to go to the 3 holy realms in the central area of the outside world. He had been to the 3 holy realms in the past, and he had been there for a while. And even his strength today was entirely thanks to some of the opportunities he had obtained in the 3 holy realms in the past. If he had stayed in the heavenly sand realm, now, he could not have such strength. Of course, while the 3 holy realms have all kinds of opportunities that cannot be met, they are also crises. In the past, he almost died out several times. After having Tan Shouting by his side, Duan Lingtian was also relieved a lot, and he basically stayed in the divine artifact spaceship to practice on the way to Liangu realm. Tan Shouting also took the initiative to solve some of the troubles and lockups encountered on the road. He also told Tan Shouting, unless it is something that cannot be solved, don't disturb him in his cultivation. In Duan Lingtian, he left Tiansha realm and entered Liangu realm for a period of time. Within Tiansha, the people of the Meng family in Kanglan City finally discovered that the young master Meng Yuzheng of their Meng family had disappeared. If it were before, although Meng Yuzheng had a good status in the Meng family, he was also one of the many direct descendants of the Meng family and he was more noble in the line of his. However, when Meng Yuzheng's ancestor was promoted to the strongest, He, the descendant most loved by Meng Tianfeng, the newly promoted ancestor of the Meng family, became the highest-ranking person in the younger generation of the Meng family. The person most valued by the ancestors of the strongest is not high in the Meng family. I have searched all around, but I still can't find the whereabouts of Yuzheng's child. When the ancestor leaves the customs, if we can't see Yuzheng, how should we explain to him? In the main hall of the Meng family, a high-level group of the Meng family gathered together, and an old man with a white beard said gloomily, with a worried tone. The last person who met Meng Yuzheng saw that he was leaving to the south of Kanglan City. As for why he left, no one knows. But, I guess what attracted him to leave. There is no one around to follow, and it is impossible to go too far if you want to come to Yuzheng, but there is no news until now. I am afraid it is too bad. Don't scare yourself. Isn't Yuzheng's soul orb still intact? This also shows that he is still alive now. Yeah, as long as you live well. Moreover, the old ancestor is the strongest, and Yuzheng is his direct descendant. If anyone dared to kill Yuzheng, the old ancestors can also trace back through their bloodlines. Who did it to him? Perhaps, the other party did not kill Yuzheng because of this concern. Since I didn't kill Yuzheng, I wanted to seek something. Maybe, it won't be long before news will come. I also think that the other party should be seeking something, or else, how could he do such a risky thing? You know, he offended not only the Meng family, but also our ancestor of the Meng family. Meng Tianfeng, since returning from Lan Xiaocheng in the past, has been in retreat directly. I don't know anything about the outside world. It wasn't until after he left the customs that he wanted to summon the direct descendant Meng Yuzheng that he valued most, and then he knew that the other party had been missing for a long time. Yuzheng is missing. Meng Tianfeng's complexion was gloomy and ugly, and then raised his hand, a fire flashed in his hand, and a scar appeared on his palm, and a drop of blood sputtered out of his hand. Then, his eyes were like electricity, and two firelights flicked out from between his eyes, and then they melted into a drop of blood floating in the void. The blood boiled, and Meng Tianfeng closed his eyes, frowning and loosening his brows. After more than a dozen breaths, he opened his eyes again, but his face was a little ugly. Although people are not dead, they are still full of robbery. Who is it that dares to treat me, the descendants of Meng Tianfeng, like this? Does he really think that Meng Tianfeng is a fool? Chapter 44-49. If you are a powerful person in the realm. It is said that you can use the power of blood to predict some situations that the immediate descendants will encounter if the immediate descendants are not dead. This is what Meng Tianfeng heard from others. Also because of this, he knew that although he was promoted to the strongest, it is almost impossible to know what happened to him without his direct descendants dead. That person probably doesn't want me to find him. Meng Tianfeng's face was gloomy, however, he really thought. If he did this, I couldn't find him. Soon, Meng Tianfeng went to see the contemporary patriarch of the Meng family, and directly ordered the Meng family to join the family to inquire about people who have grievances with Meng Yuzheng. In the beginning, Meng Tianfeng was very confident and felt that he would be able to find the person who did it soon. It's just that, after a while, the feedback from the patriarch of the Meng family made him almost vomiting blood. Only then did he know that the direct descendant Meng Yuzheng, his favorite and optimistic, had provoked so many people outside, and he was a complete dude. Old ancestors, if you only rely on such investigations, there are really too many suspects. The contemporary patriarch of the Meng family, looking at Meng Tianfeng, said with a wry smile. This matter was the first time this ancestor asked him to do it after he became the strongest man. Naturally, he wanted to do it beautifully and properly. However, after a period of inquiries and investigations, he almost vomited blood. He did not expect that Meng Yuzheng, who looked like a predecessor, would offend so many people secretly. Moreover, most of the people he offends are because of the Meng family, they dare not speak. Even, many people want to kill him quickly, or Meng Yuzheng's offended people, those who want to kill him, definitely more than 90%. This also made him completely helpless, not knowing where to start. I really want to talk about the suspicion of kidnapping Meng Yuzheng. Everyone who has committed crimes by Meng Yuzheng is suspected. Duan Lingtian didn't know that the disappearance of Meng Yuzheng caused the entire Meng family to jump up. Even, the entire Kanglan city was a sensation. Currently, Duan Lingtian, together with Tan Xiuting, has arrived at the last city in Liangu territory, and further forward, it is the Pingxiong realm, one of the 6 realms in the outer realm that is closest to the 3 holy realms. Liangu territory, in addition to the city where they are now based, Duan Lingtian and Tan Xiuting also stayed in several cities, mainly to inquire about some things, and to buy some things that Duan Lingtian could use in his practice. Nowadays, the city Duan Lingtian and Tan Xiuting have arrived is named Guilan City. Outside Guilan City, Duan Lingtian and Tan Xiuting walked slowly into the city gate one after another. This Guilan City is a city with a forbidden air formation. Okay, but they are all the city guards of Guilan City. Guilan City is different from a city generally ruled by a certain family or several families. In this Guilan City, there is no family, there is only one force named Yangtian Army. Master, the predecessor of the Yangtian Army, is said to be a wandering force. Finally, the leader of the Yangtian Army was promoted to the strongest, and this led the Yangtian Army into Guilan City, and Champa was king. Duan Lingshan's ears heard Tan Ziyuteng's voice. Of course, at first, this city was not called Guilan City. The reason why he was named Guilan City is said to be the leader of the Yangtian Army to commemorate his dead wife. Guilan is the name of his dead wife. Speaking of which, the leader of the Yangtian Army is also a legend. Although he is not the invincible high-ranking god, he is also close to the top existence of the invincible high-ranking god. Power expelled the 3 first-class families that originally controlled this city. Repelled the 3 strongest with 1 enemy 3. Since then, he fought to be a god, and was recognized by the people in Liangu as one of the strongest people in Liangu. And he, since then, has been based in Guilan City and built Guilan City into a city that completely belongs to their Yangtian Army. In this Guilan City, no family exists, and all the industries in it belong to Yangtian Army. The army. As for those in charge of the industry, it is said that they are all relatives and friends of the high-level Yangtian Army. So, in this Guilan City, don't look at the inconspicuous shop owners. Among them, there may be close relatives of the Yangtian Army high level. In the current Yangtian Army, more than one leader is the Xion. It is said that another deputy leader was also promoted to become the Xion 1,000 years ago. However, this matter was only passed on by outsiders, Yangtian Army. I didn't say much inside, and I don't know if it is true or not. Perhaps, only by waiting for the deputy leader to take action can we confirm that he is the real Xion. Following Tan Ziyuteng's words, Duan Lingtian also had a certain understanding of Yangtian Army, and at the same time was full of curiosity about the city controlled by Yangtian Army. Entering Guilan City, what appears in front of Duan Lingtian is a clean and tidy avenue, which is different from the bustling and noisy city of ordinary cities. Although this city is also noisy, more people talk with each other. General fear. Seeing this scene, Tan Xiuting said, "It is said that the deceased wife of the leader of the Yangtian Army was a quiet woman before his death. Therefore, Guilan City also has rules, not to make loud noises. Those who make loud noises will be warned first. If you don't listen to the warning and continue to make noise, you will be expelled from Guilan City." Hearing this, Duan Lingtian suddenly, if so, everything in front of him would be easy to explain. In fact, when he settled in this city, Duan Lingtian's mind was to see if there was anything he needed here, or rather, it was something that was helpful to him, and even to his relatives and friends in their cultivation. Although he is in a place outside the world and is on the road to saving his wife, he has not forgotten his group of relatives and friends. If he can get something that is helpful to them, it can also save them from making detours. However, after entering Guilan City, although he had been mentally prepared, it still surprised him. In the beginning, I just heard Tan Xiuting say that this city is different from ordinary cities. Now it seems that it is so. Suddenly, a figure greeted Duan Lingshan's eyes, making Duan Lingtian unable to help his color change. I saw that it was a young man with a height of about 1.8 meters. His face was handsome and determined, with a pair of sword eyebrows and heroic spirit. Wearing a blue robe, His long hair dancing in the wind was also blue. The seemingly inconspicuous young man walked through the street in front of him like others, but Duan Lingtian couldn't help but look sideways, and even changed his color, only because he has seen this person. You can also say, know who this person is, you know me. At the moment when Duan Lingtian's color changed, a ghost-like figure appeared in front of Duan Lingtian, asking slightly surprised. At this moment, Duan Lingtian only felt that a blast of cold air enveloped him. The cold power seemed to be able to easily pass through his body, oppressing his divine power. And Tan Xiuting behind Duan Lingtian was also frightened by the sudden power in front of him. At the same time, he trembled, his pupils contracted, his throat swelled, and a bit of dryness forcibly swallowed a mouthful of saliva, shocked in his heart. To the strongest. Chapter 4450. Tan Xiuting is not weak at first, and he has lived for a long time. In most of his life, he has seen many strongest people. Naturally, from the oppression of the people in front of him, he can see that the other party is the strongest. He was not surprised that the Xion appeared in Guilan City, because many Xions like to blend into the crowd. If he did not show his power, few would be able to tell that he was the Xion. Just now, he had noticed the person in front of him, but he had just glanced at it. He didn't expect that the other person would be a strong one. This strongest person is very strong, far beyond what Meng Tianfeng, the newly promoted strongest person in Kanglan City, can compare. This is also Tan Xiuteng's first thought after realizing that the person in front of him is the strongest, and it shocked him inexplicably. When I came to Guilan City, I not only met the Xion as soon as I entered the city gate, but also was a Xion who was stronger than the average Xion. At the same time, Duan Lingtian also looked at the white-clothed youth in front of him with dread. To be precise, it is the King of Cold. That's right. At this moment, the white-clothed young man standing in front of Duan Lingtian was not someone else, but the strongest person Duan Lingtian had seen in Wuyang City in the past. The demon Venerable Chiming Mountain invited the strongest person to destroy Wuyang City. Duan Lingtian is still unforgettable the scene of that day. Kai Ming Yaro Zun teamed up with this person to easily crush Wuyang City's 5 strongest men. At that time, Duan Lingtian witnessed the fall of one of Wuyang City's 5 strongest men with his own eyes. The strongest fell, a vision appeared in the sky, and the rain of blood was pouring, shocking. Duan Lingtian vividly remembered that scene so far. Little guy, I have some impressions of you. At the same time, King Han, staring at Duan Lingtian, smiled faintly. I seem to have seen you in Wuyang City. If I remember correctly, you should be in Wuyang City, under the strongest, and escaped Wuyang City smoothly. The only human being. In the Battle of Wuyang City, although King Han and Kai Ming Demon Sovereign were teaming up to deal with the 5 strongest people in Wuyang City, he was also concerned about Duan Lingtian, who showed greatness below. Even at that time, the demon Venerable Kai Ming also found Duan Lingtian and even wanted to kill Duan Lingtian. In the end, it was Han Wang Shitsai, who greeted Chiming Demon Venerable, and Chiming Demon Venerable did not attack Duan Lingtian. Of course, these Duan Lingtian didn't know. Therefore, for the Cold King now recognizing himself and remembering that he once appeared in Wuyang City, he was surprised, and said to the Cold King quickly and respectfully, "But I didn't expect that in the past, Wuyang City and his party would not have returned to the Cold King. Eyes. No talent." Hearing Duan Lingtian's words, King Han shook his head. "If you say that you are not talented, I am afraid that no one would dare to say that he is a talented person. Less than long live, with your strength, it is rare in the world. You are the most enchanting person with talent I have ever seen in my life." With the words of King Han, Duan Lingtian suddenly realized that King Han was probably staring at him when he was in Wuyang City. Perhaps, the scene of himself fighting the big demon in Chiming Mountain and spared his life was also seen by King Han. After all, when the demons of Chiming Mountain slammed into Wuyang City, King Han didn't show up until after the 5 strongest in Wuyang City appeared. He did not show up under the greeting of the demonic Venerable Chiming. Before he appeared, King Han must have been nearby, perhaps observing everything in Wuyang City boringly. Among them, it also includes his shots. Senior King Han praised. Faced with King Han's praise, Duan Lingtian hurriedly said humbly, The younger generation can achieve this at this age, but it is only because of various karmic associations. If it were not for luck, it would be difficult for the younger generation to have today. Luck. When King Han heard the words, he smiled lightly. How many people are in the outside world, and even in the 10,000 worlds, but you are so lucky? Young people, a little too humble. Duan Lingtian smiled awkwardly when he heard the words. At this moment, he also felt that King Han had removed his icy power, which made him a lot easier. And Tan Shoting, who was standing behind Duan Lingtian, was also relieved at this time, relieved. It now appears that the strongest in front of us is not that the one who came is bad. No ill will to my master. This is a good thing. King Han. This title sounds familiar. Suddenly, Tan Shoting came back to his senses, but he felt that the word Hanwang was a bit familiar. After thinking for a while, his pupils shrank again, and his complexion changed. A few years ago, when he was still in the Tiansha realm, he heard people say that in Tiansha, there are the most powerful people in the world wandering around, and found a secluded place in the Tiansha realm. And this strong one is called the King of Cold. It is said that after King Cold arrived at the Heavenly Sand realm, someone from the Xeon family offended him, and the Xeon from the Xeon family went out in person and invited another friend of the Xeon to go to the King of Cold Qingxiu. He wanted to kill the uninvited guest of King Han. At that time, it also attracted many people to come to watch the excitement. That battle shocked the entire Tiansha realm. Under the siege of the two strongest men, without 30 moves, King Han killed one of them. And then, when the other strongest man lost the intent to fight, he killed him after 3 moves. 33 moves before and after, kill the two strongest. At that time, the chiming mountain chiming demon Venerable who was present bluntly said that even if it was him, he did not dare to say that he could defeat King Han. After the war, King Han became famous in Tiansha, and his secluded and pure cultivation place became a forbidden place for people in Tiansha, and no one dared to approach him and disturb him. It is said that the member of the Xeon family was disturbed by King Han and was abolished by King Han, and then the following things happened. It turned out to be him. Strength, at least comparable to the existence of the top Xeons in Tiansha. Tan Ziyuteng's heart was shaken. It is said that the last time this King of Cold appeared, it was in Wuyang City, the 5 strongest people in Wuyang City. The King of Cold together killed 2 people and escaped 3 of them. For a while, when Tan Shoting looked at King Han again, apart from fear in the depths of his eyes, only fear was left. Young man, you have come to Guilan City, Liangu, but you plan to leave Liangu and go to Pingxiong? King Han asked with a smile. The current King Han looks like an elegant scribe, as if chatting with his friends, without any part of it. Senior Han Wang, I am planning to go to Pingxiong realm. Duan Lingtian nodded. Ha ha. The Cold King laughed. That's a coincidence. I also plan to go to Pingxiong realm to visit my old friend, or else, how about you and me along the way? Invited to travel by a strong person. If you are an average person, you may be flattered. But Duan Lingtian couldn't help but feel jealous. What exactly does King Han want to do? He didn't think that a strong person would invite him to go with him just because he had only met him twice. The other party has a plan out of 10, thinking of what happened to Kai Demon Ridge when he first came to the outside world in the past. Duan Lingshan's heart rose sharply. You don't need to be nervous. At the same time, King Han apparently saw Duan Lingshan's vigilance, and said with a slight smile, I have one thing for you to walk with me, and I want you to help. Chapter 44-51. The next words of King Han made Duan Lingtian completely stunned. Something, want to help yourself? Han King, but the best among the Xeons. With this kind of existence, what can't be done by oneself, need someone to help? Furthermore, let's find him. Is it possible that the King of Cold has discovered a place where the strongest cannot enter the ruins, and wants to find non-strongest ones to enter and share a piece of the pie? Duan Lingtian couldn't help but guess like this. However, as soon as this speculation appeared in his mind, he suppressed it again. Even if it is so, King Han can't find someone temporarily. He is looking for someone, and there are many people to find. I am not the invincible high-ranking deity. I am close to the existence of the invincible high-ranking deity. With the strength and status of the Cold King, it is not difficult to find it. It shouldn't be this. Duan Lingtian secretly said. As if seeing Duan Lingtian's doubts, King Han smiled and said, "Don't worry, it's just a matter of effort for you. I have an old friend in the Pingxiong realm, and there is a junior underneath the old friend. He is extremely talented. Just after long live, I realized the law of death, one of the 4 highest laws, into the realm of small perfection, and because of this, he is talented. I am proud and suffered a lot of small losses for this, but I still go my own way, which makes my old friend a headache. According to my old friend's words, unless you can find someone who is more talented and stronger than him, and you can compete with him and beat him dignifiedly, maybe he can be honest. Of course, your strength may not be able to defeat him, but it is not difficult to think about it if you want to fight with him. If someone who is older than him gets a draw with him, he might not mind. But you are less than 10,000 years old, obviously much younger than him. If you can get a draw with him, for him, undoubtedly it was a huge blow, and it was obvious that he was inferior to you, or even far inferior to you. In this case, he will inevitably be much more honest. Speaking of this, King Han looked at Duan Lingtian with a deeper smile on his face. If you can achieve what my old friend wants, I won't be stingy, and my old friend, I won't be stingy. This matter is just a matter of effort for you. After hearing King Han's words, Duan Lingtian suddenly realized that he dared to feel that King Han wanted to call himself, and went to his old friend in the Pingxiong realm, and by the way, educate the younger of his old friend. Just after long live, I realized the law of death, one of the 4 supreme laws, into the realm of small perfection. Even Duan Lingtian was shocked. This kind of genius, even if you look at the entire outside world, and even the 10,000 realms, I am afraid that it is a top-notch genius. In the future, as long as the talent is not a flash in the pan, as long as it is not halfway through, as long as it is not bad luck, it can almost be concluded that he will become the strongest. Of course, Duan Lingtian disapproved of what King Han said, that he was at most tied with the opponent. In the old days, in Wuyang City, although he made a shot, he did not do his best. Furthermore, he is now better than when he was in Wuyang City. Now, even if he faced the 3 big monsters close to the invincible upper gods under the chiming mountain demon Venerable, even if he was not sure to defeat any of them, he was sure to fight with them. He can't help the other party, and the other party can't help him. How? Han Wang looked at Duan Lingtian as if he was thinking, and asked again. At this time, Duan Lingtian also came back to his senses, and at the same time agreed, since the Cold King has this assignment, the younger generation will naturally not refuse. Moreover, I really want to pass through the Pingxiong realm. It is a great honor for me to be accompanied by Senior Han Wang all the way. Faced with a powerful person like King Han, even Duan Lingtian knew that he had to be careful. This kind of existence, if you want to kill him at all, it will be difficult for him to live. Okay. Han King laughed, since you have agreed, then I will give you the thank you I want to give you about this matter in advance. Presumably, this thing will be of great help to you. If you can take this one step further in a short period of time and defeat the younger generation of my old friend, I think my old friend will be even happier. After the voice fell, King Han handed Duan Lingtian a floating shadow orb containing the mirror image of the floating shadow. This floating shadow orb was exactly the same as the one given by the former heavenly sword Sichu Lei. The floating shadow mirror recorded by this floating shadow bead cannot be copied. Once you try to copy, not only is it impossible to copy successfully, even this floating shadow bead will self-destruct. This kind of prohibition is very special, even the Xeon can't break it without destroying the floating shadow mirror inside. At the same time, King Han glanced at Tan Xiuteng who was behind Duan Lingtian, and then a sound transmission was transmitted to Duan Lingtian's ears in a timely manner. In this floating shadow bead, there is recorded an invincible upper ****** who is good at space laws. Zun fights against another invincible high-ranking god. Hearing King Han's words, Duan Lingtian's pupils suddenly contracted, and even his breathing became disordered in an instant. Invincible high-ranking god? Furthermore, is he still an invincible high-ranking deity who is good at the laws of space? For Duan Lingtian, this is undoubtedly the real treasure, at least for him at this stage, it is an absolute treasure. In the past, He probably didn't have much idea about this kind of thing, but since he got such a floating shadow bead in the hands of the heavenly sword Situ Lei, his spatial law that hasn't entered the territory for a long time, in a short time, there is a very obvious improvement. If he can get such another floating shadow orb, it will undoubtedly further accelerate his advancement in the law of space. Floating shadow mirroring against another invincible high-ranking god. Especially this point made Duan Lingtian realize that the floating shadow orb given by King Han is more precious than that given by the heavenly sword Situ Lei. After all, the latter is only given by an invincible high-ranking ****** who is good at the laws of space. Fight against the existence of a non-invincible high-ranking god. Two invincible high-ranking gods fought against each other. This kind of floating shadow mirror image, looking beyond the horizon, and even the 10,000 realms, is a first-class treasure, and even most of the strongest people will be moved by it and participate in the competition. Before Duan Lingtian had time to recover, the floating shadow orb had already floated in front of him. At the same time, before his eyes flashed, King Cold had disappeared out of thin air, leaving a cold air permeating the void, and then gradually disappeared. I will stay at the Yangtian army's main mansion for the rest of the time. When you are done with your business, come to me directly then, tell the guard on duty in front of the Yangtian army's main mansion and say yes. Just come to me. The voice of King Han seemed to float slowly into Duan Lingtian's ears from a very far away. Recovered, Duan Lingtian grabbed the floating shadow bead floating in front of him with one hand, and then collected it like a treasure. At this moment, his disordered breathing not only did not calm down, but also tended to become more disordered. For a while, he couldn't help taking a deep breath, trying to calm his mood. He had to be excited. The floating shadow beads given by King Han can be said to be something he wants to get in his dreams, something he can't refuse at all. But that senior cold king just gave me the things in advance. Don't you worry that I will run away with the treasure without doing anything for him. Together with the thoughts, Duan Lingtian suppressed it again. However, I am now in this Guilan city and want to flee privately with my treasure. I am afraid it is impossible. Not to mention his spiritual knowledge, it is enough to easily spread out and monitor my every move in Guilan city. It is not relying on himself. As long as he greets, the people from the heavenly army will probably stare at me. Hearing the last words of King Han just now, it is not difficult to hear that King Han is very familiar with the leader of the Yangtian army, that is, the leader of the Yangtian army. He went to Yangtian army's main mansion. Maybe he went to talk to the old man. Chapter 4452, Certainly. According to Duan Lingtian's behavior, it is impossible to take the advantage of King Han and flee privately with his treasure. Knowing the good news has always been his code of conduct. Don't talk about King Han, but said that he was imprisoned by the strongest red demon in the Red Demon Ridge and made a promise with the dead Wang Yiyuan. Duan Lingtian never thought of breaking the promise. Regarding Wang Yiyuan, the victim was dead. Even if Duan Lingtian didn't make a promise, no one would know and no one would say anything. However, he went to Lan Xiaocheng personally and fulfilled his promise. With this floating shadow bead, my law of space will definitely go further. Thinking of this, Duan Lingtian's eyes were shining, and at the same time he couldn't wait to observe the floating shadow mirror recorded in the floating shadow beads. Let's find an inn to settle down first. Look at the floating shadow mirror first. According to the predecessor of the Cold King, in this floating shadow mirror, the opponent of the invincible upper *******, who is good at the laws of space, is another invincible upper god. I don't know what rules the invincible high-ranking ***** is good at. Under curiosity, Duan Lingtian became more and more looking forward to the soul bead given by King Han. Soon, he found an inn, opened 2 rooms, and lived in one with Tan Xiuteng. Tan Xiuteng, although he was curious as to why his young master came to the inn when he first entered the city, after all, their cultivation level would not be exhausted, but in the end he didn't ask much. He knew that this young master must have his own ideas. Perhaps, it has something to do with the floating shadow beads given by the strong one earlier. That floating shadow bead should have recorded a very precious floating shadow mirror. Just now, the young master was obviously a little gaff. Tan Xiuting secretly said, and the floating shadow mirror that can make this young master such a gaffe is at least the floating shadow mirror shot by the upper gods who comprehend the law of space to the realm of small perfection. It might even be a floating shadow mirror shot by an invincible upper ***** who is good at the laws of space. Thinking of later, Tan Xiuteng's heartbeat also couldn't help but jumped sharply. If it is such a floating shadow mirror, it is a treasure that even the strongest can dream of. Among the most powerful, there are few who are good at the law and understand the realm of Dzogchen, and for them, if they can get the shadow of the invincible upper ***** who can understand the law they are good at to the realm of Dzogchen. Mirroring is also very helpful to them in understanding the law. Duan Lingtian didn't know Tan Xiuteng's guess, even if he knew it, he wouldn't care. At least, there is no need to worry that Tan Xiuting will be disadvantageous to him until the master and servant contract of the Blood Oath is terminated that day. Look at another invincible high-ranking god. What kind of law is good at it? After returning to the room, Duan Lingtian first took out a few formation plates and arranged several compression formations to cover him, and then took out the floating shadow beads, and his spiritual consciousness synced into them. In the next instant, his whole person seemed to be pulled into another space. This is an abyss with no end in sight, and the surrounding area is dim. Here, Duan Lingtian is no stranger to hearing this. Here, it is the endless void. There are many powerful people in the buffer space between the 10,000 realms and even the places outside the realms. They all choose to meditate in this endless void and feel the purest road. The floating shadow mirror shot by the invincible high-ranking gods. It is said that only the strongest and the invincible high-ranking gods have the ability to record. This floating shadow mirror image was also processed by the Xeon and the invincible high-ranking gods to slow them down. If there are really two invincible high-ranking gods fighting in front of me on the scene, I am afraid it will be difficult to see how they are fighting. Duan Lingtian had seen the strongest fight against each other with his own eyes. At that time, although his strength was not as good as now, he was not much weaker, but he couldn't see anything clearly. The invincible high-ranking god, although not as strong as the strongest, but they played against each other, it was extremely difficult for Duan Lingtian to see clearly. Cool. Suddenly, in front of Duan Lingtian's eyes, a tall figure appeared. It was a middle-aged man wearing a blue robe. Piece of endless void fit. Standing there gives people a simple and unpretentious feeling, but it seems to be integrated with this world, regardless of you and me. He is the invincible high-ranking ***** who is good at the laws of space. At a glance, without even needing the opponent to take action, Duan Lingtian confirmed the identity of the person in front of him, that is, the invincible high-ranking deity who comprehended the law of space in the mouth of King Han to the realm of Dzogchen. Yu Tian, today you and I will preside over the next battle in Kong Jesuan, both to decide the victory and defeat, but also to life and death. Suddenly, a voice spread, resounding through the endless void. And Duan Lingtian's heart was suddenly turbulent at this moment. Kong Jezun. Jezun. Is it a realm powerhouse? This mirror image of the floating shadow is recorded by the realm powerhouse? At this moment, Duan Lingtian also realized that his current field of vision may have been the field of vision of a powerful real mist, and it was from this angle that the other party recorded the scenes in front of him. He Joyo. Another figure appeared in front of Duan Lingtian's eyes. The person who appears now is an old man wearing a grey robe. The old man has white hair and white eyebrows, and he has a childlike face. Standing in the void, his figure is sometimes illusory and sometimes cohesive, giving people a feeling of erratic uncertainty. The old man appeared with a calm and natural voice. Today, let Kong Jezun witness. Is your Dzogchen space law strong, or my Dzogchen time law strong? The sound came out, and Duan Lingtian's heart, which had not yet calmed down, shook violently again. Sky. What did he hear? This invincible high-ranking **** with a childlike appearance, he said, what he is good at is the law of time. The law of time. Duan Lingtian's heart was turbulent. He is not low even in the law of time, and he is close to the realm of small perfection but recently, compared to the law of space. It's just a slight drop. I'm afraid. Even the cold King Senior did not expect that in addition to the law of space, I am also good at the law of time. The duel between the invincible upper ******** who is good at the law of space and the invincible upper ****** who is good at the law of time. Moreover, it's a life and death duel. For me at this stage, the value of such a floating shadow is difficult to measure. I am afraid that there is no second thing that can be compared with it. At this moment, Rao Duan Lingtian had been accustomed to seeing strong winds and waves along the way, and his heart was still full of uncontrollable excitement, which was difficult to calm down for a long time. Chapter 44-53. 2. Why bother? A sigh came into Duan Lingtian's ears, and Duan Lingtian knew that this was the Kong Jiezun of the two populations who had spoken. Loss. As far as I see it, just click and stop. Kong Jiezun said. Kong Jiezun, my heart is determined, you don't have to persuade. Kong Jiezun, today, if no one achieves the strongest between me and him, we are destined to live only one person. The two invincible high-ranking gods in the field expressed their opinions one after another, and between their words, it was obvious that they did not intend to give up this life and death duel, and at the same time, the eyes of the two were also rushing to the battle. These two people. And Duan Lingtian also faintly realized something at this time. Do they want to force themselves through life and death duel, break through and become the strongest? Duan Lingtian now knows that it is difficult to achieve the invincible upper god, but it is even more difficult to achieve the strongest through the invincible upper god. The difficulty of the former is much more difficult than that of being the strongest. Not to mention the latter. Therefore, in places outside the realm, and even in the history of the 10,000 realms, there are many invincible high-ranking gods, but those who can truly become the strongest, look from the past to the present, but anyone who knows or has been recorded does not. More than 10%. What is this concept? Perhaps these two people are not far from the end. Duan Lingtian secretly said. To make two invincible high-ranking gods so crazy, Duan Lingtian didn't think that the two of them were just hot-headed, it must be that both of them had lived a very long time, and became more and more powerless for the next 1,000 years of tribulation. The 1,000-year calamity that can make the invincible high-ranking gods have powerlessness, at least in 100,000 years, right? That is to say, the two invincible high-ranking gods should both be over 100,000 years old. Existence more than 100,000 years old. Thinking of this, Duan Lingtian's mind also fell completely silent, and devoted himself to the life-and-death duel that was about to begin in front of him. He must carefully observe this battle. The powerhouses at this level, plus the powerhouses who have lived for more than 100,000 years, their combat experience is absolutely very rich and very detailed. This also helped him a lot. Although he walked all the way from the secular plane to here, he also experienced many battles during the period, and he also had a wealth of combat experience, but compared with these two, it is completely incomparable. Finally, everyone has their own ambitions, let's get started. In this battle, I will ***** you, and there will never be a third party against any of you. Kong Jiezun's voice came again, with a long sigh. Obviously, the two invincible high-ranking gods in front of regrets will eventually lose one person today. The life and death duel of the invincible upper gods. At this moment, looking at the mirror image of the floating shadow that felt very real before him, Duan Lingtian only felt that his heart was trembling, and the blood on his body seemed to start to boil. The battle in front of him was definitely the peak battle he had ever seen in his life. In Wangcheng, although he saw the match between the strongest, he couldn't see their shots at all. And the two invincible high-ranking gods in front of him, if they were placed in the real world and fought against each other, with Duan Lingtian's current strength, they would definitely not be able to see anything clearly. However, the mirror image of the floating shadow slowed down their speed, allowing Duan Lingtian, an observer, to see this battle clearly. War. As one of the invincible high-ranking gods uttered a soft drink, the two figures moved almost at the same time. The perfect Dzogchen space law, as well as the perfect Dzogchen time law, also began to show in front of Duan Lingtian, and they collided together. At the beginning of this battle, Duan Lingtian devoted himself to watching the battle. The first time he watched this battle, and finally witnessed the fall of the strongest who was good at the laws of space. The law of space is not as good as the law of time. This was the first thought that appeared in Duan Lingtian's mind after watching this battle, but he soon suppressed it again. Not necessarily. The one who is good at the law of time, the reason why he can win is entirely because he made more detailed shot. Whether it is the law of space or the law of time, it is a qualitative change in their state. It's just that, never expected, the law of time can still be used in this way. It has to be said that the observation of a floating shadow mirror image has not clearly inspired Duan Lingtian, but it also gave him a great experience and saw the horror of the invincible high-ranking ***** who is good at the law of time. Comparatively speaking, he hadn't even realized the time law of the small perfect state, and he couldn't get on the stage at all. Look again. Come again. Observing the floating shadow mirror over and over again, gradually, Duan Lingtian didn't know how many times he had observed it. And he, also during this time of observations, made some discoveries. Whether it was the law of space or the law of time, many of the puzzles on the road to comprehension were gradually solved. It turns out that the mystery of the law of space is not limited to what I have learned before. The law of time is really weird. One thought makes a space change rapidly, as if endless years have passed. The teleportation of the law of space, when used well, can get rid of the control of the law of time. A floating shadow bead allowed Duan Lingtian to stay in the inn for 3 months. Of course, Duan Lingtian was also putting away the floating shadow beads, and after walking out of the room, he knew that he had been in the guest room of the inn for 3 full months. In the past 3 months, although he did not comprehend the law of space and time, he asked himself that there will be shortcuts for the next 2 laws. I didn't expect 3 months to pass so quickly. You followed me around Guilan City, and then went to the military master's mansion to find Senior King Han. Even after 3 months, Duan Lingtian had not forgotten his agreement with King Han. Yes, master. After 3 months, Tan Xiuting looked at his young master again, obviously a little bit more shocked. Although the young master is still the young master. However, from the young master's eyes, he clearly discovered something more. That is self-confidence, it is determination. In the past 3 months, master, his strength has improved again. While Tan Xiuting was shocked, his eyes were full of envy. Before, he felt that he was a genius. But now, in front of the person in front of him, in comparison, he feels that he is completely out of touch with the word genius. This is the real genius, Evildor. Tan Xiuting sighed in his heart. If he has the talent and savvy of the person in front of him, he may already be the invincible high-ranking deity now, and he may even have used the invincible high-ranking deity as a stepping stone to step into the realm of the strongest, and become one of the strongest. Jiezun realm powerful. Guilan City, as a city controlled by the Yangtian army, all the industries in it belong to the Yangtian army. Therefore, compared to other cities that I have traveled along the way, the various industries in Guilan City also appear to be more orderly, and all aspects are well organized. As before, when Duan Lingtian bought some expensive things in other cities, he would be watched and even tracked by those who wanted to. Those people were either scared back by him, or they caught up after he left the city to block the way for treasure. And the latter, none of them is alive so far. Most of them were solved by Tan Xiuting, and there were also a few 2 of them. Although they were not as strong as Tan Xiuting, they were not bad. Seeing that Tan Xiuting could not win the opponent in a short time, Duan Lingtian personally killed the 2. It deserves to be a city completely controlled by Yangtian army. Duan Lingtian found that he had walked around in Guilan City and bought a lot of things, many of which were precious, but no one has followed him up to date and hit his precious ideas. This shows that the security in Guilan City is good. Tan Xiuting also discovered this, and couldn't help but sigh repeatedly. Before, I just heard that Guilan City is safe. Seeing it today, it really deserves its reputation. Let's go. Go to the commander's mansion. The shopping is over. Duan Lingtian is also going to the last stop of this trip to Guilan City, looking for the strongest Han King, and leaving Guilan City with him, and even the solitary realm, to Pingxiong Rel. Commander's mansion. Hearing what his young master said, Tan Xiuteng's gaze suddenly condensed, and his face also became serious. At the same time, his gaze became a little more nervous and jealous. The military lord's mansion in Guilan City is equivalent to the palace compound in a country where the highest power is and the highest decision-making place. The leader of Yangtian army, that is an extremely powerful. It is said that the strongest people who fell into his hands are not counted. Chapter 44-54. The leader of the Yangtian army was the former leader of the Yangtian army when he was in the wild. After entering the city of Guilan, he felt that the title of chief was too bandit, so he changed it to the military leader. However, even if the Yangtian army has changed its name, privately, more people still call the Yangtian army leader the leader of the Yangtian army. The leader of the Yangtian army is probably the strongest person who is not weaker than King Han. Duan Lingtian secretly said. Duan Lingtian knew about the strength of the Cold King. As the so-called things gather by kind, people divided by groups. Duan Lingtian knew about the Battle of Wuyang City in the past. Obviously, King Han's strength may be slightly better than him. The leader of the Yangtian army is recognized as one of the top Zeons in Liangu, and the top Zeon in Liangu is also recognized as stronger than the top Zeon in the Sands. Therefore, Duan Lingtian guessed that the strength of the Yangtian army leader is likely to be equal to that of King Han. It is precisely because of this that the two talents may discuss on an equal footing. Previously, when King Han mentioned the leader of the Yangtian army, he didn't have the slightest sense of awe, and his tone was indifferent, just like mentioning an old friend of his own casually. After arriving at the Yangtian army's main mansion and explaining his intentions to the guards guarding the gate, Duan Lingtian also further confirmed his guess. Master, our adults have already said hello. If you come, take you directly to rest, and he will report your arrival to the adult above. Lord Han, it will not take long to know your arrival. The guard was expressionless at first and looked a little cold, but when Duan Lingtian informed him that he was the person called by King Han, his attitude changed drastically and he became extremely humble. Moreover, deep in his eyes, there is also a sense of awe from the heart. Duan Lingtian believed that if it was just an ordinary Zeon, the Zeon who was not as strong as the Yangtian army master, the guard of the Yangtian army master's mansion would never be the case. Although the general Zeon is far better than him as a guard, there is still a Yangtian army leader above him. Master, please follow me. One of the guards personally led the way in front of them, while the other guards also watched Duan Lingtian and Tan Shouting as they entered the military main mansion with expressions of awe. Watching Duan Lingtian's back disappear before and after his eyes, several guards came back to their senses. While they continued to guard their faces outside the gate, they had already whispered through voice transmissions, "You said this, with Lord Han, what is the relationship?" "I don't know. But, Lord Chen said that if you want him to be respected as a disciple of Lord Han, I think he should be Lord Han's descendant." If it is a descendant of Lord Han, it is really enviable. Lord Han, that is a strong and powerful person who is not weaker than our military master. I heard that Lord Han used to compete with our army master. Although it seemed that the battle was a tie, the army owner said that he was 30,000 years older than Lord Han. If Lord Han is as old as him, he may not be weaker. Master Han, before he became the strongest in the past, he was almost able to become the existence of the invincible high-ranking deity. It was recognized as the East Nine realm of the strongest, and the invincible high-ranking deity cannot be made. No one is invincible. I don't know why Lord Han didn't step into the realm of the invincible high-ranking ***** in the end. It is said that he can easily step into it. Perhaps, I am worried that after becoming an invincible high-ranking god, it will be difficult to become the strongest. Naturally, it is impossible for Duan Lingtian to know the whispers of these guards. The current Duan Lingtian, led by the guards leading the way in front, reached the deepest part of the row of guesthouse courtyards in the military master's mansion, in front of the largest guesthouse courtyard. This is the young master of Lord Han. The guard said to the two maids standing in front of the guest room courtyard. The two maids look very young, beautiful and beautiful. They are also rare beauty embryos when they are placed outside. Now they heard the words of the guards, their eyes brightened, and then humbled forward and respectfully saluted Duan Lingtian. Master, please go inside and rest. If you have any orders, just order us. Duan Lingtian nodded faintly, ignoring the hints of the two maids whose eyes were obviously hint. At this time, the guard's voice transmission also came into Duan Lingtian's ears in a timely manner. Master, these two maids are all yellow girls, and then they will completely take orders from you and will not go against your wishes. If so, the gazes of the two maids are only hints, then the guard's voice transmission is clearly stated. Duan Lingtian faintly responded to the guard, and then walked into the courtyard, led by the maid, into the owner's room inside. And Tan Xiuteng entered another room next to him. The spacious courtyard has a total of 6 rooms, and the furnishings inside are all elegant and chic, which obviously took a lot of effort, which is very different from other guest courtyards outside. Without being reminded, Duan Lingtian could also see that the courtyard of this guest room was specially used to entertain guests. This time it's the blessing of Senior Han Wang. Duan Lingtian knew very well in his heart that if it weren't for King Han, even if his strength was close to the invincible high-ranking god, it would definitely be impossible to receive such treatment in this Yangtian army's main mansion. You know, in the Yangtian army's main mansion, not to mention the strongest, even the strongest, there are no less than 10 people who are not under him. Earlier, he heard Tan Xiuteng say that there are 13 people in the Yangtian army's main mansion, and they are all close to the invincible high-ranking god. In other words, in Yangtian army's main mansion, even if the strongest does not come out, there are 13 people who are not weaker than him. Next, I'm waiting for Senior Cold King to come to me, Duan Lingtian secretly said. Outside the door, the two maids waited for a day and a night, and did not hear the call of the person inside. They looked at each other, and both saw a little disappointment in each other's eyes. They are the maids who are specially trained to entertain the distinguished guests. If they are favored by the distinguished guests, they will not need to do similar things in the future. Even if they were not taken away by the distinguished guests, Yangtian army's main mansion will take care of them for the rest of their lives. They were very satisfied with the distinguished guests they received this time, because they looked clean and handsome, much better than those sloppy old men. But now, the other party obviously has no plans to happen to them. King Han did not let Duan Lingtian wait too long. The day after Duan Lingtian came, he came to the door. Speaking of which, I still don't know how to call you. Seeing Duan Lingtian again, King Han asked with a smile. Li Feng. In front of King Han, Duan Lingtian still didn't report his real name. It's okay for ordinary people to know his real name. If someone at the level of King Han knows it, it is likely to become a hidden danger for him. After all, he was carrying a lot of news about the Fountain of the Gods, and sooner or later it would reach out of the world. When the time comes, as the strongest King Han, once he pays attention to this matter and knows that the cultivator from the gods who brought a lot of gods to the outside world is named Duan Lingtian, he is likely to be directly contacted. Body. This is not a good thing for him. It's not that he sees the character of King Lo cold, but that he doesn't dare to gamble. Once the bet is lost, you may lose your life. Before he had enough strength, he could only protect himself like this. Outsiders call me King of Cold, and my real name Ishan Yuqing. King Han also politely reported his name, but he didn't know that what the person in front of him reported to him was just a pseudonym. Li Feng, my old friend, the leader of Yangtian army, after knowing your existence, I want to see you before we leave, but I don't know, would you like to see him? Just leave me. Han Wang smiled and asked Duan Lingtian's opinion. When Duan Lingtian heard the words, his heart suddenly stunned. The Yangtian army master wants to see him? You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories,